Okay, I guess we're live
We
now.
are live. Yes.
Yes, we are live. And
So,
we're
go ahead.
back. We're back. 0 viewers, that's fine.
So I can make my big guilty confession while no one's watching.
Go on.
I did not see the Batman movie.
Oh,
and
I
lots of
didn't.
people have told me, go see it. It's so great.
Oh, is it? I haven't watched it. Oh, yes, 2 people apparently on. Maybe it's us.
And then I was thinking about it, and I kept saying, oh, yeah, I'm going to go see it. Although I still don't really feel comfortable going to a movie theater. But then I also was thinking, I'm still burnt out on Batman. There's just, I have read too many Batman comics. I've watched too many Batman cartoons. He's a cool character, and there's lots of great stuff out there, but there's just too much of one character. So I'm not that excited, even though everyone, or a lot of people, say it's a great movie.
I mean, I've seen all this huffle about the Batman. There you go, Jared. Hello, Raga. Hello. How are you guys? I haven't seen the Batman movie since the first Nolan one. Wow.
You haven't seen the Batman movie since what?
No, Jared says I haven't seen the Batman movie since the first Nolan one.
Oh, right. I heard Jared on his Hangout saying how he did not like that Nolan Batman, and that was the end of it for him.
Yeah. I watched all Batmans, I think. This one, I don't know, I think my mind is more preoccupied in watching the movie, especially going to cinema as well. I'm not really fast at the moment to cinemas at all, so I'll wait when you're gonna come into the streaming option, because most of the stuff like Dune, I'll watch streaming options. All that big stuff, I went streaming option as well, and apparently it's gonna go into HBO Max, isn't it, in America?
Oh, okay. I keep thinking, should I delete or stop my HBO Max subscription?
Yeah,
there's always one little thing that keeps me hanging on, but right now it's actually a British pottery show that my wife likes to watch.
That's good. Oh, you get it on HBO Max?
I think that's where we're getting it. Yeah, it's like the Great British Baking Show, only it's for pottery.
Okay, 904 Comics is here. Hello,
904, who's also Comic Swag.
Yeah, and then you have Raga Muffin saying, "Movie remains still." Yeah, interesting. And I don't know which animated movie it stood out for me, but I think animated series are better than movies to me.
I agree.
Because they are like just superbly done and cleverly used characters in it. And I mean, maybe, yes, it is child's animated series. It doesn't have the dark things were dark and our dark hero is supposed to be and all that stuff. But, you know.
I mean, darkness becomes this immature shtick after a while if you overuse it too. Yeah.
Well, Batman is everywhere. It's plastered. I mean, it's the same like Spider-Man for other kids. Like now, I'm introducing my son to South America. Wow, look at you.
Hey.
Hello, nice to know.
I know Sarge often has a strange schedule where he's doing overnight shifts and stuff.
And then Jared says, "I only watched first Nolan Batman out of this."
Fondest in my memory now is the completely not dark Batman from the Batman Brave and the Bold animated series.
Yeah,
I just love that. That was so funny.
But I must say that Heath Ledger's Joker, it's my
favorite Joker. Okay.
Yeah,
Joker is also kind of overplayed. I don't know if he shows up in this new movie, but I really hope he doesn't.
I think he does. Yeah, I think there's
like
Riddler.
Batman, Joker, Batman. It's like they're Adam and Eve or something. They're just the only ones in the garden.
I think the Riddler is one of the younger actors who grew up to be like, of course, now a grown-up actor, but I'm not really sure that, the names. I wasn't really into getting into that kind of stuff, so it's like these day releases, so many things happening.
Right. Well, my other movie confession is I finally finished watching the Black Widow movie, which I watched half of. I watched half of it months ago, and last night on a whim decided, hey, I never finished watching that. And I was kind of bored to tears. I mean, there was lots and lots of action in the second half of the movie.
Oh, Jack says Spreadable was a great cartoon. Yeah.
Well, Jack and I agree. That's a good judgment, Jack.
Yeah, very good. I am absolutely pleased.
Were you a fan of Black Widow? I can't remember now.
I was. I liked I guess I liked the dynamic of the whole things
the
and how long
sisters and the fake parents and stuff.
Yeah,
That
and
part
then
was clever. Yeah.
and I like the actress we chose for the young Black Widow. I think
Ah,
she looked really great in like the moments. She had quite good moments because of the the way she was protecting her sister or pretend sister
right.
and all that stuff. It was really good. I liked it.
Yeah,
But
I like the actress who plays her pretend sister. There's a lot of good actors in there, but at the end, I felt like it was just this one emotional beat over and over again about,
yeah,
you've ruined my life and I'm getting revenge. And
yeah.
I don't know.
It's
I think I'm
the
just
oh
jaded. I'm so
yeah.
jaded.
Hello, Scott Connor. The thing is that the sister, the Pew, whatever her name, I forgot now. She's
I forgot
actually
her name.
from Oxford. So
Oh, really?
yeah, I was like,
She's your neighbor.
sure, quite the distance, but Oxford
You might
is quite big.
run your shopping cart into her shopping cart at the grocery store.
Okay.
If they have
Good
shopping
evening. I
carts.
mean, good evening. You can't tell I am hungry. Yeah. Well, I hope you enjoy your dinner.
Nothing bad about a food evening, right?
Yeah, exactly. Especially in Portuguese, have great like seafood dishes and the fish dishes. I absolutely would like to, especially like something on a barbecue now. Oof, the winter can't get away sooner. That's the one thing I really miss. I am a barbecue person. And then all those people who like vegan stuff. I'm sorry, I can fry some vegetables on top of it, but I like meat. I do enjoy my meat anyway. Oh yeah, so I watched the first episode. Star Trek has been kind of the thing. The Picard. I don't know if you.
The second season of Picard. I still haven't watched the first.
Are you a Star Trek fan, or are you like?
I am, and I in my not watching TV, I've kind of dropped off all this. They put out so much Star Trek in the recent years.
Well, go Vidal is here.
I do plan to catch up with Picard and with Star Trek Discovery. I'm curious about both of those, and maybe Below Decks too. People say good things about that.
My husband loves Below Decks. I don't. I'm a Star Trek fan through and through, but Below Decks, I just can't take animated series of that kind of genre. Like the Family Guy was just the beginning, like Simpson, of course. Sorry, Simpson was the beginning, then Family Guy was kind of.
Oh, it's in that vein. Okay, I didn't know.
Yeah, it's all and look at the Gray Man. He's here. Hello.
Gray Man, yes, chat rats. That's a new way to view it.
Yeah.
Hey, all you rats in the chat.
Yeah, so I am a Star Trek fan. So I watched the first season of Picard, and I really liked it. I really liked at the end of the day, I grew up with Picard as my captain of Star Trek. Of course, afterwards, Milgrew, the Janeway, she's the female, of course, and that's, of course, took the limelight for me, especially. I like the way they ended up. But, of course, Discovery was not Discovery, but Star Trek, the Picard was the main thing. New Generation.
Next Generation. Yeah.
I
always go back to that as my central Star Trek, even though I grew up with the old Star Trek.
Yeah.
And I sometimes feel guilty and want to go. I have a strong affection for the cheesy Kirk era, but Picard, I think. Picard and the way they did that show defines to me the Federation and the way the future should be.
Yeah. The Picard, now I forgot the first one. What is his surname? What is this first captain was the name you just said?
Captain Kirk.
Captain Kirk. Yeah, go. So I enjoyed his. I mean, I discovered a lot later when, of course.
So when you started watching, it was Picard, the Next Generation from the beginning.
That's why I started it first, because that's the one thing you showed on television, and you know within that time. Right. And then, of course, the history you start to get to know, because I like the space genre.
Was the old one kind of a shock going backwards from Picard to Kirk, or did you?
No, actually, I really enjoyed it. It was a little bit cheesy in moments, especially the Kirk and his moments and the way he's fighting. Like he's like really good and stuff like that.
And sleeping with all the alien women and all of that.
And lots of females. I mean, every single time they land, there's a female to cover them and then mesmerize them, and they're suddenly in trouble and all that stuff. But then,
thanks for that description, Scott.
Yeah.
He says Lower Decks is Rick and Morty with Star Trek name. So maybe I'll pass on that one, at least for now.
Yeah. So what is this? The guy live long and prosper. I can't even do that
Spock.
thingy. I am. Yeah, you see, I am the my fingers.
I didn't
those
know
fingers in
this
one.
was a talent. Now I can feel very proud. I can do that.
Look, that's how I can do. I'm a doing gangster one, like hello, live long and prosper.
Bang.
Yeah, something like that. Anyway, so he is like absolutely fantastic character. Anyway, he was more than Kirk for me. He was the main one for me to be.
Yeah.
And that animated series was fantastic. They didn't last very long either. So I'm a fan of Star Trek through and through. So Discovery I watched as well. We're keeping up with the latest episode, me and my husband. We enjoying it. But they kind of be confused with the, you know what it is the timeline, the shifting timeline. I'm kind of like not sure which timeline they're at and stuff like that.
So Discovery is not in the future of the other shows, it's in the past?
No, it's in the future.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
So they are in they jumped in timeline. Am I losing you? Am I going away?
The screen froze on my end for a moment. Can you hear me? Can't hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Sometimes your image freezes, but I can still hear you.
Maybe I'm freezing.
So I figure it's not worth worrying about. A little freezing is not the end of the world. I mean, if the world were freezing, it would be the end of the world. A little camera freeze.
Yeah. So it seems to be my internet sometimes just fluctuates every single time. So
right. It could be on my end too. It's hard to ever know where it comes from.
Anyway, so that's the main exciting things about TV shows talking about. It's like there's quite a few of those coming out, but so we'll see how if you have time to watch some. Would have been nice to know what you think.
Yeah, I've got a lot to catch up on. I've got to figure out how to watch Picard. I don't want to. I might buy DVDs or something if they're out on that eventually.
If you have it's on Amazon Prime in here in UK. I'm not sure how it's in America.
Oh, I thought it was on Paramount or something.
So it's in America's Paramount then.
Okay.
Because in here it's Amazon Prime, which I'm canceling. So I'm hoping I'm going to be able to watch the show and then cancel. But it's difficult to get to know because they come out every week, the new episodes. They don't do it like they put out. So
they may start doing that more and less of the put out all the episodes at once they realize people just subscribe for a month and then go away.
Yeah.
Well, I went on a
go on.
Big comic book crawl yesterday with the Comics with Bueller crowd. Right. Everything Comics and John Stout because Comics with Bueller is leaving town.
Yeah.
He'll be gone on Monday.
Wow.
So I bought a ton of Warlord.
Whoosh.
And I haven't gotten very far, so I'm not going to talk about this one officially, but I started reading this annual where Warlord battles Darkseid.
Wow.
So the what do you call them? The people from Apocalypse are invading Skataris, the underground world where Warlord lives.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all drawn by Pablo Marcos, which is kind of fun too. I don't know if you know who he is, but he was one of those Filipino artists, I believe. Maybe he's Spanish. I'm not sure.
I've always seen Warlock from your channel, and I always was looking in those days. So I was hunting for the comic books, and I was very curious. But I've never seen them in the bins.
These all cost me 50 cents.
Well, I would get that.
So here in the U.S., it's like this comic book that's in every 50-cent bin.
Right.
And then there was a later miniseries where he came back. So I found all 6 of those. So you guys may be hearing me talk about Warlord more in the future.
There you go. Sancho America approves it, so you hope you do a video on it.
I just thought I'd quickly, while we were chatting before we dive into deeper stuff, just show you some of the stuff. Yeah. I got a bunch of Avengers.
Wow, look at that.
I'm trying to collect the Rogue Troopers that were reprinted in the U.S.
That's good. I heard it's very good to read.
A couple of giant-sized Master of Kung Fu.
Yeah, that's a good one choice.
then this old early graphic novel called Silver Heels, early in the U.S. kind of market. I think it was, let's see, it was from Eclipse Books. That's one of those 80s publishers that Terrence in particular.
Yeah, he's always infected me with his affection to Eclipse, so I started picking up some of them as well.
So they were experimenting with one-shot graphic novels, and this was
I didn't know that.
It looks pretty good. It's called Silver Heels. I don't know what it's about because there's like no description on the back cover or anything.
Who's the artist?
Scott Hampton, and the writer is Bruce Jones. He's the one who I keep opening the same page.
Yeah, Batman.
No, that's another Jones, Kelly Jones.
Okay.
Bruce Jones is the one who writes the scripts on all those like imitation EC type comics that Eclipse and Pacific and others were putting out.
Yes, now get
I'm trying to remember the names of them, but Twisted Tales and stuff.
Oh, nice.
So it looks, flipping through it, it looks like a science fiction thing. Maybe Terrence already has this and knows all about it. And then I never even knew that in the late 80s there was a Punisher black and white magazine.
What?
And I just decided they had a lot of copies, a lot of the issues, but they didn't have issue 1, so I bought issue 2. And so far I flipped through it, and it has fantastic Mike Zeck art. I don't know if he's an artist you've discovered yet, but he was a really good artist in the 80s. So I'm hoping I enjoy reading this, and maybe I'll pick up some more Punisher. I think I like the Punisher from back then, but we'll see. I haven't read a lot of Punisher, to be honest. And then they used to have this magazine-size Hulk when he had his own TV show, Marvel's TV Sensation. And at first it was in black and white, and then in the later issues they colorized it.
Oh, wow.
So I found an issue that I didn't already have. Yes, the artist for Punisher magazine did black and white reprints of the original. Really? Are you sure? Someone told me this came out before the original. I'll have to look into that. Oh, well, maybe that's what it is.
Saying the Craven's Last Hunt.
The artist for Craven's Last Hunt. Yeah, that's one of his most famous books. For Mike Zeck.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was fun, and that's Gene Colan art in here, inked by Alfredo Alcala, which is kind of odd.
Awesome.
And then I found this Warren Magazine's reprint thing where they reprinted a bunch of sword and sorcery comics together.
Wow.
And every single one is drawn by Esteban Morato.
Nice.
So I'm kind of excited because I like his art. He was a really cool Spanish artist.
Yes. I agree.
Yes, Scott, it's a Hulk-size magazine.
First saw Zack in Captain America.
Yes, that's where I first saw him too, Paulo. I really liked him in both of those. Especially his Captain America run, I thought was really good. But so this is just going to be kind of, I don't know, is it supposed to go that way? Fun art.
That's the way,
yeah. And so I would have hunted comics for like an hour longer at this one store than everyone else, but they all wanted to go have lunch.
Oh, I read that one.
You read this? Oh, okay. I'm excited to read this. Early Mignola.
You will love it. You absolutely. I mean, I like it.
It looks
you
fantastic.
like Doctor Strange, and you like Dr. Doom, and
exactly the two doctors.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the whole point.
And it has wonderful color. It's I think pre-digital, but on better paper. So the colorist was able to try and do different.
Who's the colorist actually? Do you know? Does it say in
there? Yes, the colorist is also the inker, Mark Badger, whose name is. The name Mark Badger is vaguely familiar to me. I can't remember on what else I've seen him.
Okay.
And it looks like, well, you've probably already talked about this, but it looks on some pages you see the hints of the Mignola that we know later, but on other pages it's less so.
Yeah.
And of course, he's being inked by someone else.
Exactly, and I think sometimes he hit and miss on that. And I think that's why he doesn't let anybody ink them anymore, isn't it? Is that true?
Probably becoming his own inkers when he really took off because he styled so much in the ink. And finally, I got another Marvel graphic novel. This one, I'm surprised I didn't already have it because I have every other Killraven book. P. Craig Russell and Don McGregor. Killraven was the character in Marvel's War of the Worlds. And I guess he was kind of a cult character, so they put him in one of their earlier graphic novels, number 7. And this has beautiful color and art. I'm assuming Russell did his own color. Let me see. No, color by Petra Scotese.
Interesting.
But it looks really nice. It's funny when I pick it up, I try to flip to a page and I end up at the same page. Looks very so. I have issues with Don McGregor, the writer. He is super, super wordy. There were issues of Killraven where the script just took over the page.
That's crazy.
I find something extreme, but if you look here, it's just words, words, words everywhere.
Yeah, like the guy doesn't have...
He was in love with himself as a writer, I think.
Yeah, it's kind of difficult, but especially in that time that they have so much words in the comic books anyway. So it's like lots of reading. It takes time.
Oh, another, sorry, if you don't mind, I just continue with this haul.
No, go on.
Another interesting thing is, so I am interested in the character, the Rook, who had his own magazine at Warren Comics, but apparently the rights to him kind of spun off on their own. And for a while, they were doing, in recent years, doing the Rook at a Dark Horse. Yeah. But apparently in the 90s, someone called Harris Comics was doing the Rook. Jeez. And the art inside is awful, but these covers are by Mike Mignola again.
Oh, look at that. That's why it's looking so familiar.
Maybe I should take them out of the plastic. But again, kind of weird to see early Mike Mignola. But it's too bad. It's too bad they didn't have art even like Mike Mignola on the inside.
So how does it look inside now?
Look like this.
Oh, very 90s.
Very 90s.
Oh my!
The Rook is just the time traveler who has a time travel machine that looks like a chess piece, but because I don't even see any of the name. Hence the name, yes.
Yeah. The coloring.
And then I got some Ray Bradbury comics from Topps. Oh, and this issue says it has some Corbin art in it. I haven't opened it up yet.
What?
And this issue still has the original wrapping on it, so there's like trading cards in the back.
You shouldn't open it. You never know when it's going to blow up in your eyes.
I bought it for 50 cents, but it could soon be worth 75 cents.
Soon you're going to buy a Lamborghini for that one.
Yes. I've always wanted a Lamborghini. That's why I collect comics, to get that Lamborghini.
You know what? I think in your collection, I think you would probably, if you just decide to sell them all, you probably would buy a car after that. For sure.
Probably. If I could find someone to buy them.
You like your Silver Age, you have been collecting them quite a few, if you...
Probably not a Lamborghini, though.
No, well, you have to have a couple of those sixes.
Maybe a nice Subaru.
Zeros in those kind of especially what kind of Lamborghini you want.
Yeah. I'm not sure what a Lamborghini costs, but I assume over $100,000.
Probably, yeah. I think you need 5 zeros to make the money. Or do you have X-Men 1?
No.
Do you have?
I don't have any. I don't even have giant size X-Men anymore. I had it as a kid, but I don't know what happened.
But then you have first appearance of. Do you have first appearance of something like whatever? I guess you do.
I already traded away my low grade first appearance of Wolverine.
Oh, what did you do?
It was like a 1.5 2.0 copy, and I traded it with my comic book store for credit, and so that paid for my comics for a year.
Well, that would pay you for like 3 years of low grade now, because that comic book doesn't go in price.
Right. I do have the first black Spider-Man's first black costume. I don't know how hot that is, but
yeah, but I have a first appearance of Venom, and that goes like this. Wolverine goes like Wolverine goes just the scales up on the stock thingy, and for example, Venom just goes like this.
You'll be jealous. I also have Rune versus Venom.
That's for my husband. My husband likes Venom when he takes his time to read any comic, but he loves Venom.
I just want you to see the the beauty of
Wow.
Venom. Yes.
Who's that? Like it really nicely drawn.
Yeah.
I like that.
But anyway, yeah.
My
That was a 50-cent book.
Yeah.
By Paulo.
Yeah. Well, Ragamuffin says there.
With the 666 plate.
Yeah.
Yes.
I bet that would suit you like will be just spot on. Damien and then 666 play, like just make it black and then here you go.
Yes.
Almost like a
I'll
Ghost
shoot
Rider.
all my videos in the Lamborghini and then I will deduct it on my taxes.
Oh, cheers!
I'm
by
such
the way,
a Lamborghini kind of person.
I decided to have a pink gin day today. It's actually quite cheap, so why not? I need something to drink, and it's actually tastes not bad, which is surprising.
It's too bad we're never at the same time where we could be both want to drink.
Yeah, I'll do the drinking for you.
After this is done, I have to do the rest of my regular daytime family life. I guess I could just be the drunk father in the Lamborghini. So, Sarge, I went to the first comic swap they've had in years since COVID, last weekend. Yeah. And I think I may have showed the haul from that on the last video.
Go to Damien's channel. You'll find that WeChat.
So that was pretty fun. It's more fun if you go there and there's some people you know. So I went there with John and that was fun.
That's cool.
Hopefully more people. Now as I'm I'm meeting people, then they're leaving town. So I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
Countach Dracula instead of Countach. I'm not sure what the Countach Dracula means.
Yeah, I'm wondering what is that as well.
I missed the pun there.
Well, while you're showing the hole, I show you what my library.
Show us your library.
My library hole, but I guess it can't. Well, I'll. This is the last one, so I can talk about it anyway. So I have this fascination of knowing more about the Thanos stuff. And this is Marvel. It's like UK versions of reprinting Marvel stuff. So you have Epic. We have Epic here, but in here we have also they call them Platinum editions, Marvel Platinum editions.
Oh, you have Platinum and we don't.
Yeah, it's the complete concentration on the character. And for example, this one has the first appearance of his in Iron Man 55, which is, could you believe or not, I do have that in comic book format.
I do too. We're both rich. We can buy our Lamborghinis with that.
We should put money together. But mine is really shitty copy, and it's Pence variant, so mine doesn't. It's not worth that.
Still
much.
Probably worth something. I don't know if that comic is worth as much as it was when they first introduced Thanos to the movies.
Yeah, but I think he keep on mentioning that it might be popping in again, so that might be blowing the price up. But in saying that, I was like, my husband found that comic book, just saying that comic book in charity shop, which was a shock. He sent me a picture saying, should I get that? And the minute I saw it's like first appearance of Thanos, like, what the yes, go back, run, bring it in home. So that's how my husband brings comic books for me. So anyway,
I think that might have been one of the first Marvel comics that Jim Starlin did. I'm not sure.
So, and then it has Captain Marvel issues in here. Also has Silver Surfer issues, Mighty Thor issues, and then it goes to Thanos one, written by legends Jim Starlin, Mike Friedrich, Engelhardt, Jan Jurgens, and Jeff Lemire, and Donny Cates. So they kind of tapping into
the whole spectrum.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, and then because like you remember you were showing to me that Thor comic book you were reading, and my son absolutely loves color. So this is the first. I showed him the first appearance of Thanos. He absolutely loved it.
Yeah, I remember as a kid, I loved the Dax the Destroyer. I thought he was so cool.
Yeah, exactly. So you have this as the first appearance, and you look at the color; it just pops in you. So he absolutely loves it. So
I think by the time you get to Donny Cates, it's so what's the word? Morbid.
Yeah.
That it might not be good for a small kid, but the earlier appearances of Thanos should be good.
So JR has covered a couple of the Thanos stories, which I wasn't aware of. So I'll show you the Thanos by JR. I want to know which comic is that. It doesn't say to me. Interesting.
Gray Man advises that you send your hubby out for more comic book shopping.
Yeah, well, this was in where we are, Grayman. Unfortunately, we don't have any comic book shops around. So it used to be a long time ago before we moved in. But since then, if you randomly find some comic book in the charity shop, I basically skyrocket to the roof, and everybody thinks I'm the weirdo in the thing. So yes, this is Mighty Thor 25. So this is JRJR's first page.
I don't think I've read that one.
Wow. Yeah, it's Dan Jurgens, writer of the story. It's called The Final Morning, and that's the Thanos by JRJR.
Right.
So it kind of looks bulky and all that stuff, but typically JR's comic book. And you're talking about Donna Cates, and
Jack Yo is saying that he liked the Lemire and Cates Thanos runs. I don't know if I read the Lemire one, but I like the Cates one a lot. I just don't think it's good for a small child.
Yeah.
It's so obsessed by death and doom and the end of the world.
So that's the first one. That's the Thanos one, number one, and I think it is the Jeff Lemire one. It doesn't really show me who. It just has this Thanos returns.
Ooh, so cinematic.
You can't see it. Got lost because it's bloody trade.
Right.
You can't see it, but it looks kind of menacing as well, Thanos, as you can see in here. But it looks great.
Nice art.
But anyway, so for me, I want more about Thanos to find out and what they come up with. And I was like, okay. Honestly, I was when I went to library, actually my mood was not very great to picking up Thanos is a perfect basis. You show you all those shiny stones on the Infinity Gauntlet. Every child will be mesmerized by it. Yeah. Anyway, so I was going to library. I was in such a mood, so I wasn't really picky because I had nightmare before I went. So I had nightmare the night before I went, basically. So when I went to library, it's like really difficult to pick. So all of them are kind of like a baddies and moody, and even me decided to go this route, Damien.
Smashed. Oh my. I have that. I haven't read it yet, but that was from the library?
Yeah. So I am going to talk about it because I read a couple of things. So I even went to Junji Ito, which I don't tend to go at all. Mm-hmm. So he had, the library only had 2 copies of Junji Ito. So this one, and that's Spiral, and definitely Spiral would not go me. I would go near it because I looked it up inside, and that freaked the shit out of me. This was kind of like not so bad.
Is that one of the collections of multiple stories?
Yeah, 13 Chilling Nightmares presented by Master of Horror.
Okay.
So even I was like thinking you and Terrence were talking manga. I was like, okay, let me try. And honestly, it's.
Have you? You said you've already read some of it?
Yes, I will talk about it later.
I'll try to read some this week, and maybe we can talk even more.
Yeah, I haven't finished, so we definitely will be able to talk next week for it as well. So I even picked this up. So I think it's just something in your brain when you have nightmares. You're just like, okay, yeah, let's continue. Torture myself and read some stuff. And then I picked up this because I like the art inside, and Terrence was talking about it.
What's that called? 1,000 Storms?
Yeah, it's called 1,000 Storms by Tony Sandoval. And I read it as well, which I will talk about it as well later. But I just wanted to show it to you. The art is absolutely, for me, it's kind of weird and spectacular in the same time. So it has like watercolor, and then it goes to ink.
Oh.
So it's kind of interesting, but I'll talk to you about it. And I have the same feelings what Terrence had when he was talking about this book in particular. So that's the only thing I picked up. I could have picked up 5 of them because that's how much you can have in one go.
5 at a time. Okay.
Yeah. But I honestly wasn't in the mood. So I wanted kind of like, I was looking for Nightwing somehow. I don't know why I wanted Nightwing, but they didn't have anything brand new of Nightwing. Right. And I was more curious because they're saying it's really good.
Right, they're raving about the Tom Taylor run on that.
Exactly, yeah. So I was wanting to go that route, but they didn't have any. So I was like, oh, whatever. So this is where I picked up and now. So yeah, if you want to kickstart with...
It seems like your library is carrying an interesting variety of stuff, though.
Yeah, they have quite a few. Yeah, not so bad. I mean, it could be more, but yeah, not bad.
So shall I dive in on Meteor stuff?
Yes, please. Mm-hmm.
speaking of me, I got to build up muscles for this. I have now read the first 5 stories. Here, why don't you put my camera in the mix? Let's see. Can you put my overhead camera up, Rasa? Are you still there? Did we lose Rasa? Rasa. Okay, well, hopefully she'll come back and then she can put my overhead camera in.
Oh, crap. Sorry, I have lost my connection, so that's why.
Could you put the overhead camera in now? There we go.
Yeah, I know. Sorry about that.
So I've been physically struggling with this. I think in my mind this was a bad idea physically. You can't put it on a table and read it. It just goes like that, right? So you have to sit there and hold this giant heavy book up with your hands, or sit on the table and kind of push it down with your hands. Yep. But other than that, it's been quite the experience. So I don't know if you remember the very first issue, The Look of Love, about these 2 guys who work for the mob, or some guy named Henry, I think his name is. Presumably the leader of the mob, because he gets, in these 5 issues, you hear his name a lot, but you never see him, I don't think. But these 2 guys are carrying around a body somewhere out in the, in the sticks, away from the city. I guess because they're going to dispose of the body, and that's their job. I think they dispose of bodies all the time. But it's the body of the lover of the mob boss, who let this character sleep with her before he killed her, I think, if I understand. And this character's not very smart. So a lot of the stories, the dialogue between him and the older guy, who together their job is to get rid of the body. And then one thing leads to another where they have to kill other people along the way. First, it's a policeman. Then it's a bunch of people at a diner. It just goes on and on, where they end up with body after body after body that they're somehow trying to get rid of. And they're not very smart, particularly this young guy. He seems almost like, I don't know, mentally ill or something. So in this issue, I took it to be extremely black comedy, and not 100% realistic, just because of the body count and how crazy these guys get. And in the end, shall I spoil it?
Yeah. I know the ending.
So anyone else who wants to read this, turn off your volume for a minute. But in the end, the young guy ends up killing the old guy because he doesn't respect the woman he loves, who is this dead woman that whose body they're supposed to get rid of. So it just sort of ends with him leaving a car full of bodies by a dock and wandering off into the woods. And you may know if they show up again, but there's nothing about this in the next 5 issues. The only connecting thread is their boss, Henry, as far as I can tell. So I thought it was really good. It was really dark, but I sort of that made me think, oh, Stray Bullets is a comedy, just a black comedy. But then later issues that I've read don't come across as black comedies so much as straight up tragedies. I think at least the next issue about the girl who witnesses a murder. I think her name is Ginny, and I have a feeling she reoccurs a lot because she reoccurred in a few issues that I read so far. She witnesses a murder, and it messes her up. And her sister thinks she witnessed her making out with her boyfriend. So she tells her not to tell anyone. And not telling anyone messes her up further. And so she's already, I think, a misfit outcast kid at school. And she becomes more and more sort of messed up. And when some kids do something really mean to her at school during a birthday party at school, licking her cupcake and making fun of her, she stabs the kid in the back with a pen.
Whoosh.
Gets suspended from school. And the characterization is amazing because any character who comes through they have their own motivation and their own perspective on everything that's different from anyone else's. So we get the mother, who only appears briefly, but all she can think about is what the daughter is doing to her, making her look bad and stuff. And then we even get I think it's an aunt or a friend of the mother who tries to play the strict friend of the mother, telling the daughter how she ought to behave. And we get a scene with the dad. The dad seems like the only positive person in her life, really, but he's on the road as a trucker all the time. Some of the drawings are incredible, like the way he draws Ginny's face at times. I really love. He also does odd things where he cuts off parts of people's faces with panels, like you see there, or like that one there. I'm not sure why he does it. I mean, obviously he's doing it on purpose, but when I first started seeing it, I thought, oh, he accidentally didn't position the head properly in the panel. And so then she goes out trick-or-treating, and her sister's supposed to watch her, and her sister goes off to make out with her boyfriend in the car. And then a bunch of the boys, the bullies from her class, attack her. They drag her out into the woods and cut her up and everything. I thought she was dead. At the end of the issue, I thought she was dead. I only found out later she survives. Because actually, you know what? I now realize I think I misunderstood. I thought that was her. That's someone else's body, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
So I missed that entirely.
But that's the thing, that this comic book has quite a few threads and many characters, which before what he was telling is actually you'll hear them, you'll know about them. That boy who is like in the first issue, he's I think, isn't he? Maybe it's just
the one who's not right in the head. This
guy?
I
think he's the son of one of the girls, women who you will see further in the storyline. I think,
the one who likes to sleep with a lot of men, and she doesn't care that her son's around.
Yeah, and he's watching her, and he's kind of like really like not. You shouldn't be putting him in that situation, but yeah.
I thought the art in this second issue in particular, I don't know, it was really incredible. And this character has reoccurred several times already.
Well, he's there in Sunshine and Roses, I think.
Oh, okay.
I think so.
Yeah, and I think one of the characters in that imaginary thing that I read, what was her name? The color one I read last week that has led me to this. He was a character in that was based there on him at least.
So he is one of those the big bosses.
They call him like Spanish somebody.
Yeah.
Because he likes tacos. And I'm not sure if that is a sexual reference or he actually likes tacos. Maybe I'll find out more about that later. Because I don't know if that's a slang in the UK, but sometimes tacos are slang for women's genitalia.
Oh, how many names you guys have for that? It's just
yes.
I keep on like we have a general conversation, me and my husband, and suddenly he's like, start laughing. He's like, why are you laughing? Don't you know that this and this and this is called this and that? I was like, oh my god, again. Yeah. Oops.
Okay, so the body is not this guy because he's carrying a small gun, and this body has a long gun. This is a very demanding on the reader kind of book.
It is. And there's this another girl who you will be part of the gets involved in the storyline, and she's kind of going to be there. She's the one who is imagining that girl on the rocket. So I think she's going to be a prominent character throughout, as far as I remember. But that's the thing. The minute you get into them, the characters, they just characters say it's like using them in those situations where you basically don't want to put yourself in a situation like that, what they can end up with. So it's just like crazy stuff. And it just unravels and unravels and then unravels and gets worse, it seems to be, or gets a little bit better. But you can't just put away. And I think, I don't know if it's how you feel, but that's how I felt about it, because it's just these characters' descriptions is really great. And the way they get into evolve, like the way he's storytelling, I guess that's what I'm trying to say. I really enjoy it. And it's black and white. It's beautiful. I always cannot look away of this female's hair the way he does in black and white. All those shadows and stuff like that. I really like that. Not in this one, but the more like when you are dark haired, like not the blonde ones, but the dark-haired ones, females. He's really portrays them really nicely as well.
Well, and unlike a lot of artists, particularly when they're drawing women, like all the women will look kind of the same.
Yeah.
Every single woman has a different shaped face and very different hair.
Like this one, that moment, like you say the girl, that bowl.
Right, there's this girl and that girl. They do not look at all alike, even though this girl only appears for a moment.
Exactly.
There's the teacher,
and
then there's another woman. Oh no, that's a boy. I'm sorry, but anyway, it's very impressive. But he's not. Most of the time, he's not flashy, right? He's just doing very simple things that, at a casual glance, you wouldn't say, wow, this is a comic that will knock you off your pants with its art or something.
As you can see, he doesn't go a lot on shadows when it comes to the clothing that much. I mean, it's very simplistic lines. He does take more care about the hair, which is interesting, especially like those Beatle style haircuts. He does it absolutely fantastic. Like you said, the girl, and then it just stands out, even though it's in black and white, and it's quite heavy blacks he's using. It's
right.
Just,
it's a thick line, and he places very heavy blacks. I like that. I'm finding it art-wise like a cross between Jamie Hernandez and Will Eisner.
Oh, really?
Both of those might be better artists than him, but he's a very good artist. But those are those are peak level artists. But it reminds me a bit of both.
Yeah.
Like some of his use of blacks and stuff is a lot like Eisner, and but unlike Eisner and probably unlike Hernandez, I can't remember, he religiously sticks to this grid, which it must be tempting as an artist sometimes to like go big or something. But he's just relying on his skill and not on the panel size or anything like that to create the emphasis and the feeling and emotion in these pages where the kids attack her are amazing. And very disturbed. So the first issue I took as a super black farce comedy. There's no comedy really in this second issue unless you just laugh at at the horrible cruelty of life on this child.
Exactly.
So it really was. I felt horrible. Shall I take a break from this and come back to it? Do you want to talk about something?
If you want, I mean, you can continue. I don't mind it. I mean,
why don't I do one more issue and then go back? Because to go over all 5 issues at once is a lot.
Yeah.
So I think we had one issue in 90. In 3 issues, we've gone from 97 to 77 to now 1980.
And you say it changed of a grid, and you say it continues.
Oh, you're right. Well, at least on that first page. Now let's see. On the first page, does he always? He's not always in the grid.
Yeah.
On the first page, so he'll do something different on the first page and then be grid all the way through. I don't know if he sticks with that pattern. And this one has some. I'm not quite sure how old they are. Low-level thieves. I guess they're old enough to buy beer. So in 1980, that might be 18 in the U.S. And they botch a robbery, but they got a little money out of it somehow, and they decide to have a party. And a lot of the issue is a party.
Yeah.
And having read the last issue and then seeing this child here in the midst of the party, I was afraid, okay, now it's going to be another story.
So that's the kid you saw in the first issue.
So this is him.
Yeah, I think so.
In 1980, and that's him in 90. Okay, so that's why he's so messed up about women.
I mean, yeah.
So probably the woman whose body he was taking away in the first issue might have been the first woman he ever slept with.
And his mother is I think is the top second page top.
That's his mother there.
Yeah, there you go.
And eventually we learn. I don't know if it's in this issue or the next issue that she says she just loves to sleep with men and she can't help it. There's the Spanish Rick or whatever his name is. I don't remember. The guy who loves tacos.
The guy with glasses is a great character as well.
Yeah. He is. he is extra creepy because he looks so mellow and then he's a killer. He seems so relaxed. But we've already seen him kill someone casually after watching that same person beat someone else up or kill someone else. I'm never quite sure now who's dead and who's just beaten up.
Yeah.
The drawing in this issue I thought was a little sloppier.
Is it?
But we continue with the heads getting cut off in weird spots.
But, yeah.
And various people trying to couple up. So I don't know whether to care about this character who gets a lot of focus in this issue or not. My attention was kind of on some of the other characters that I'd already met, I guess. And then, so the kid's mom is off. I'm having more trouble remembering this issue as well. See, here's a lot of these weirdly cut off panels.
I think he always does that cut off when he shows the panel before that, the whole face, and then he cuts off. So kind of like maybe just maybe look the difference of the character itself. It seems to be to me.
I mean, if I were to judge him by this page, I would think he's a much more amateurish artist than I did from those other issues. It's not important.
Were you so black?
But they go to get more beer for the party. They go rob they cart off an entire dolly's worth of Budweiser, and they're shouting "Viva la Revolution" and pretending they're terrorists while they rob the convenience store.
Yeah, his name is Joey, isn't it? That kid.
Oh, okay. And I think most of what I got out of this issue is these are people who just don't give a fuck about anything.
Oh, yeah, that's for sure.
They just don't. Other people don't matter to them. The workings of society don't matter to them. They're just outside of it all. So this issue made it hard for me to really like anybody. Oh, and there's his mom. And eventually, our hero hooks up with somebody.
That's the one who is addicted to drugs, I think. She's kind of a prominent character.
See, I'm losing track now. This is not... Oh, she is. It is her...
Yeah.
It is the mother. Okay. I don't know.
No, that's not the mother. That's another one. Another character. Sorry. The mother, she has shorter hair. Sorry.
I think is she a lover of the guy, of the mob boss?
She might have been. I think
Harry.
She
Harry's
might be.
Here and he wants to see you.
And she's kind of bored, so she just wants to be remembered, and she does.
She says shit, and he says what, and that's the end because he doesn't know she's Harry's woman. I don't know if she's. Well, no, that is 17 years later when we have another. It's probably a different girl getting knocked off. Okay, I need a break from talking about it. Let you talk about one. So it's fascinating. I'm kind of at the point where each one I'm a little worried, like what awful things are going to happen, especially to children.
No, the people will die. That's for sure. I mean, will be murders and stuff like that, situations.
Jared says the oversized hardbacks are 100% better, and those I think are all out of print, and they didn't finish the series with them. But I was thinking of maybe trying to find the individual issues as a permanent way to own it, but maybe I'll look for those oversized trades. And Jared also says the other Lapham projects don't use the 8-panel grid. And even that, what was it called? Sally Carr?
Yeah.
That one I was reading last week. Even that one played with the number of panels. Sometimes it was like a huge number of panels per page.
Yeah.
But it seems like he's got kind of a formalism in his approach, which maybe is a good idea to do when you're trying to tackle such a large, complicated story, to like have something to root the story in some kind of predictable pattern. Otherwise, Amy Racecar. Thank you very much, Rick Ray.
Yeah. Good. Okay, so it's my turn now. Okay, so I'm gonna hopefully my screen is gonna be seen by you guys. So I'm gonna talk about this gymbot. So
Your
it's
Jimbot. Oh, is a
yeah,
robot.
yeah, he's a
Okay.
robot, but he's a samurai, well, kind of samurai and stuff like that. But so this is oh, I am lost, isn't it?
I can see you.
Oh, you can. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, so
I can see you and hear you fine.
okay, so it's the Sylvain Repos. So I found him on Instagram, of course. So he's French artist as well and creator of this series. So I've seen lots of his panels because I think I was following something on your Jimbo part of as well on Instagram, and he popped in. And I didn't think, I always thought that he hasn't produced anything in English because, of course, it always goes in French first. And Europe Comics, I somehow, some way, I decided to look in it because there was no information in Instagram as well. So I went to Europe Comics, and by chance, I guess I came upon this. So
is Europe Comics an app or just a publisher who you get on Comixology or something?
No, it's an app, not an app. Sorry, it's a website, and then you buy your digital format comics on
from
your
them
thing.
directly.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, exactly.
Hey,
You can buy
Terrence.
directly. Hello, Terrence. So yeah, so you can put it afterwards in, like, I don't know, whatever reading format of the things, and you can put it in through your tablet. So yeah, so this came out 3 issues or series or albums, I guess. You can say European format. So there's 3 of them. I only read 2. Unfortunately, I didn't read the third one yet. But it starts very like so you have it's called first one is called Metal Silence, and he is doing everything, artist and writer, but he has a colorist called Nori, which is just a fact of sharing that. But it's his visually panels are visually really great to look at. So this is so apparently it's the Japan, of course, and it's an era where robots hasn't, like, they're kind of forgotten, but there's problems with humans as well. And they were like, it's not safe, like there's something happened that people shouldn't be going in some certain areas. And he is like a roaming, very old school robot who is dressed like samurai, and he's carrying everything, katana and everything. And he's just walking around in here. So it's kind of, I thought for a second, because I wasn't aware, I thought it's going to be a silent issue. But no, it has worse. But then he meets another rivalry, and he's just like has a really good feeling of kind of Yojimbo, but in a robotic sense. And his swooping actions are fantastic, even say,
Right.
which is absolutely fantastic.
I like that mix of the image with the sound effect.
Yeah, and he's plays with panels quite well, and I think, I'm not sure, but I think he does it digitally. I think it's digital art for sure in this one. I don't remember now. Of course, I'm on point. But then, so yeah, go with this issue. Really good, as I say, really good paneling and stuff like that. But there's this human who's watching them as well. Gets
Ooh, I
involved.
like that panel.
Yeah, and then so the speech bubbles comes in, so it's all in black, kind of like not white color, and this yellowish like wording letters and stuff like that. So you have this, so he goes to this guy, the guy who's like almost like a sensei, and he's like, oh, can you come up with something for me, or whatever, fixing parts and stuff like that, or solutions and stuff like that. But he finds the human boy.
Oh, another great illustration there. Wow.
Yeah. And I like the way he's like, like he's watching, and he's like, oh my God, who is that? And you're not supposed to be. So what the problem is that I think, if I correctly remember, because I read this like 2 weeks ago, I was supposed to talk to you about it, but whatever happened in Ukraine has completely shattered my brain.
Made you forget about it. Yeah.
Yeah. And but he is not supposed to be seen, or even, because robots basically kill people outside the area we're supposed to go. And he is the boy of the scientist, this guy here, running away. And he's like, oh my God, you shouldn't be here, it's forgotten. And like a child's like, oh hello, how are you doing? But this robots actually can't speak. They don't have because it's so old school, they didn't have the like a proper mechanism to make them actually speak. So anyway, so his dad is being chased away because he's a scientist. So we're basically escaping the area where we kind of like were living or being captured. So and the tale involves them, but then things very bad happens to the father, and the boy stays basically in kind of like a trouble. I'm gonna be spoiling in here a little bit, but there's lots of fighting scenes and actions. It's really great panel selections. I think it's kind of like, you have that swooping sensation on somebody getting captured, like decapitated by robot, because he's a robot and he's really good at basically having. So this is the people who's basically trying to capture the dad and the son. And robot, by sense of, you're not supposed to get involved. They have this protocol where we're supposed to not touch humans, not kill them, not doing nothing. Basically, you should shut down while the human presence is there. But something happens in your Jimbot, where he sees the distraught child because they had this connection between two of them, and he starts helping them. And the story goes in that sense afterwards. Really good. I'm going to show you.
Oh, well, I just discovered that I can read it on Hoopla.
Oh, there you go.
And it's also pretty cheap on Amazon. The digital copy is $4.61.
Yeah.
On Amazon. So then, I will definitely try reading this then.
Yeah, cool. It's great. So there's the page and second issue where he shows them the area where actually live. So it's really good. I think it's fantastic. And
have you read all 3 volumes or just the first volume?
First 2.
First 2. Okay.
Yeah, and it really reads really nice and quick. Like it has more than an issue, like 36 or 40 pages, I think, if I'm correct. 38 the volume 2 has.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they go and he speaks to them and they can't reply. They only reply with motions and some sort of things. Anyway, so he goes basically on and there is this thing where there's this kind of like drone came next to him when something happened to his dad, and he says like, you have to get to this destination. So he has a map, and basically robot is trying to get him to that destination because apparently they will help him. There's somebody who's helping them. So there's a mystery in here. I'm not really explaining you quite greatly, but I don't want it to spoil. It's kind of difficult, but that's what the boy really afraid of is those little robots which is dropping down from the floor above the ceiling. So
excuse me.
Yeah, it's okay. So yeah, so it's very good. It's honestly, I don't think I'm doing really good justice to this, but it's really lovely storytelling, and it's just the way, like if you want more Yojimbo kind of thing sense to it, but in robotic, like a mechanical sense of it rather than animals. So you should maybe have a look and see. As you say, it's quite cheaper, honestly, because in UK from Europe Comics, I think one is like around £5 if I remember how much I paid.
Yeah, I went to the Eurocomics website, and they say it's €5.
There you go. So
it's also £5, but then they give you on a drop down a bunch of choices of where you could read it, including Comixology and Amazon, iBooks.
There you go. I didn't really go. I like to go through, like, like maybe I feel like it's actual publisher, so money will go rather than parties.
Right, I do too.
Which is sometimes, at the end of the day, especially like European comic books, especially when you don't find them in English that much, So yeah, there's 3 parts of it. So of it, So
it's exciting to have this place that even if it's just digital, that is translating European comics.
So another one which I was talking about, The Undertaker, is another one is where I got it from here as well, from Europe Comics, is the one which I was reading about, that Undertaker character, and it's really well drawn, and it's almost like have a really good sense of kind of blueberry, and not, of course, not Mobius, but that's just the way he's been drawn and them characters. And I shared you guys before that. But that's the thing. So yeah, so I always go back and see if I can't find something. Usually Europe Comics, he seems to have translated versions on digital, of course, not printed versions.
They have a page about creators, and it shows you which country they're from. That's interesting.
Yeah. And they have quite a lot of them, like styles and genres, and even kids versions, and whatever you kind of feel like your like action adventure, nonfiction, suspense thriller, western type stuff,
Right.
which I really like, of course. But so it's one of the things I enjoy a lot.
Yeah, this website should be promoted more to the English-speaking world.
Yeah. Well, that's why I keep on mentioning, but
yeah, I know you've mentioned it before, and I never tried going to the website while you're talking about it, but now I have, and I'm realizing how incredible it is.
There's
cool.
the Lucky Luke from French.
Yes, I've read a few of those.
Yeah, but they have Kid Lucky.
Kid Lucky.
So kid version of him. So yeah. So Ralph Mayer is the Undertaker comic book I'm talking about. I'll show you the picture for people here rather than you looking at. So that's the guy who let's see that's him. That is the Undertaker comic books I really like. It's the Western type, which is absolutely fantastic.
I don't know if I can put links into your chat, but let me try. For anyone who wants to look into the Europe Comics website.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, maybe I can do it then. If you can't. Copy and
I put in the link, but I don't know if it goes through as a link.
Yeah. No, I just put it in through, so maybe you can just highlight it and copy.
Yeah.
I think you can do that. So this is the catalog.
Yeah, and actually I'm looking at the chat and it is you've now put in a live link, so that's good.
Oh, okay. Cool.
So yeah, that's a great way to just search around for what's available in English and European comics.
Yeah, because they have a Belgian, French, like a lot of French and Belgian creators in there. Of course, I think there's a couple of UK ones as well. But yeah, this is how I found something which is I've seen on Instagram, the new creators, like who I follow, because I just really like the way the art styles they're doing. And then suddenly this one seems to be always providing you with the creators' work, which is great.
Right. That Yo Jimbot one looked like it looks good digitally. Like it seems like a good one to read digitally anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, all the panels look spectacular, to be honest, and everything moves really smoothly, as I say, throughout. So it's really good. And yeah, lots of his followers I always look through, and then they're always commenting, "Great, well, can we have more?" And it doesn't, it's a creator who cannot, produce quickly enough sometimes.
Right. Well, I think when you do things in the European style, generally it's a slower way because it's more in-depth illustration and such.
Yeah.
Plus, it's often is it one creator doing the writing and the art?
But he has a colorist as well. So
colorist. Okay.
It's always two people's work anyway. But the person who's creating, storytelling and all that stuff. And I think he just came out with this. Maybe I don't know if it's true, but I think he just came out with this character with Yojimbo basically being a robot kind of part of it. Everyone's like, "Oh, this is great. Maybe you should do something with it." I'm not sure. I may be making shit up. Maybe my gin is making stories up now in my head. Anyway.
Well, I can dive back into the other two issues of Stray Bullets I read.
Okay, let's go to the Bony and Clyde.
Another complaint about this edition is I wish it had the color covers at least, or even a black and white copy of the colors. I don't know if this picture was on the original cover or not, or if it's just a picture from inside.
Mm-hmm.
This one is called Bony and Clyde.
Mm-hmm.
And I immediately realized, oh, this is the same girl that I thought had died at Halloween, who's witnessed a murder, has this awful mother, and fairly awful older sister. Although her older sister's probably just a typical teenage girl, but and is bullied at school and everything. So no wonder she's running away. But I was, for a moment, I was trying to figure out, is this before or after she died? But it's 1978. It's a year later. And again, we start with 3 panels, and then the rest is the 8-panel grid. And so we pretty quickly learned that she has a scar on her face for where they used the knife on her, but she survived. but no wonder she's running away from home. But I forget how old they said she was a year ago, but I think it was like 7 or 8. So she's 8 or 9, and she's running away, being picked up on the highway by middle-aged men.
Nightmare for the parents.
But the first one, when he tries to touch her face, she screams at him, and he swerves off the road, and she runs away. And then there's kind of a weird sequence, which I assume is her dreaming. Like she's
lying
in
down.
a parka and like a not horsefly, a dragonfly or praying mantis comes and starts cutting up her jacket and stuff. And maybe it's eating her.
Yeah, looks like it.
And then along comes another car, and this creepily friendly man takes her under his wing. And
that panel at the top, he sells lots of it up as his character already, you know, like that.
Right.
The way he smirks and looks at her like, hey, yeah, look at me, I'm the good guy. And, freaks the shit out of it.
I put this story down 3 times because nothing. Yeah. Well, there's many horrifying things in the world, but the idea of some child sexual abuse at this age is horrifying. And that's what I was expecting what we were heading towards, since I've already learned in 3 issues that he doesn't pull punches. So a lot of creepy stuff goes on, and he's talking to her about him being a criminal. We even get this shot of her thighs.
Yeah.
So he's telling her about Bonnie and Clyde and saying they can be criminals together. There's interesting insect imagery going on.
In the boot of a car.
Is that the boot, or is that the that the glove compartment there? I took it to be the glove compartment.
Yes, it is. Oh yeah.
Another interesting, just a total side note, characters in this comic say cool beans all the time. And the only person I knew to say cool beans a lot was what was his name? A YouTuber who I liked, and I'm suddenly blanking on his name.
Yeah, well, that's what happens when you do live chat.
I wish Earl Grey was here, because it was Earl Grey's favorite YouTuber. He's a cook. Anyway, every time they say cool beans, I think of that YouTuber.
Yeah, the one who hasn't been doing videos for a while, and he loves Vertigo. Yes, is that the guy you're talking about?
Yeah, he's a cook, and he has long hair, often in a ponytail.
Great. Yeah.
He's a real cool guy, and I just feel bad.
Name as well.
Blanking.
Yeah.
Where's Earl Grey when you need him? There's also these interesting black panels throughout. I almost feel like I now need to reread a lot of this stuff. Now that I know the ending, this isn't as intense as it was.
Jackie was right, Tim Morant.
Tim Morant, exactly. Tim Morant always says cool beans. And so every time I'm reading this, I'm thinking of Tim Morant. And the way he draws her, it's just the bad things happening to her even more painful. She just seems like this innocent girl.
Well, for her age, it's the correct way of dealing with that kind of thing.
But she seems in particular like just this wide-eyed. So he tells her that they're robbing and doing things like this. There's even an interesting moment, like with a waitress who's obviously a little suspicious.
Yeah.
I can't see where that is, but anyway, there she is. Again, every face is different. So anyway, I was just thinking horrible things were going to happen. She writes him a note about to give for his bank robbery. Hand over all the money in the register, and I won't blow your brains out. Maybe. And he goes, ha. But this guy, what is he thinking? And I was like, is he really this burglar or not? Oh, here's a fantastic panel there. Love that. But he even comes out of the grocery store and is smiling at the police officer. and they laugh together, and they get in the car. He even gives her a cigarette.
That's what the good guy does, like cool things.
Right. Yeah. There's nothing better than giving a 8-year-old a cigarette. Again, we're just in this world of people who do not care at all about any of the things that I think you and I care about.
A lot. Yeah.
And then, but at the end, he brings her back to her family, but I guess he's called the media to be there because he's running for office. He's a politician. So that was a very clever twist, but it's so effed up.
But that's the way he was showing. There's a couple of panels you're showing in Adina when she was eating, and those a child poking in the food and putting that panel where she just licks one thumb of it. She's like sexually. He's basically leading you thinking this is bad going to happen because he's such a horrible human being. Like that. Those panel on the right, you see her lips and everything, all that saliva.
All that stuff. Yeah.
That's basically suggesting, oh fuck, this is going to be really bad, and then twist at the end, which is actually really good storytelling, but it makes you feel uncomfortable.
Yeah. Yeah, I still feel like he might be a child molester. Even though he didn't do it.
Yeah.
So that was amazing. But before I knew that it was going to have a relatively happy ending, I kept putting it down. I mean, I'm a father of a daughter, and just imagining this situation.
Yeah, it must be really difficult.
So comparatively, I think chapter 5 was easier to read, but it was also very disturbing, and maybe the one I understood the least.
And you'll see this character a lot.
He's a smart Jewish kid about to graduate from high school. They mention he's Jewish, and so I don't know if ethnicity of these other characters is an issue too. Because all of this is set in Baltimore, I believe. Yeah. So I don't know a lot about Baltimore. I have visited Baltimore, and it is, at least in the past, was an extremely rundown city. So he witnesses someone being killed who probably was an intentional hit and run since we know enough about him, by Spanish Rick. I'm forgetting his first name.
Jack?
Still.
Maybe Jack?
Spanish Jack. I don't know.
I don't know. I'm sorry.
But then it's a really strange thing where this woman, who I didn't realize at first was the woman from the party with the son, but I eventually figured it out.
Yep.
She picks him up.
Yeah.
And she goes to great lengths to seduce him.
Yeah.
Over a period of days. And it's very creepy. I have to say, I wasn't sure of her age compared to his.
Spanish Scott. There you go. As Jared said.
Spanish Scott. Okay.
Greyman is a Stray Bullet, which is a strange book.
Yes. Stray Bullets, famous
David
cult book
Yeah.
About various crime stories.
Yeah.
So anyway, basically, she slowly seduces him and guilts him into sort of coming back and visiting her and going to a party, even though it's on his birthday and it's the day he graduates from high school, and he's going to go off to college to become a computer engineer.
Yeah.
So he's someone with, a promising life from outside the world of these amoral lowlives. He even has these like late night phone calls with her. It's just weird. And he also has the phone number that was written on the hand of the dead person, and he tries to call it, but I think first he gets an answering machine, and then later it's the call. The number's been disconnected. I don't know. Maybe I need to reread it. Was that number her number? Maybe. I just don't get why why she seduces him. She just wants sex with a variety of men. I don't know. And while they have a party at her house. It's not the same party, is it?
No, I think that's
a good question.
Party she invited him for, and that's
right, because the other party wasn't at her house, was it? Or maybe it was at her house.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Oops.
Yeah, that's the party.
That's the party one. And what year is it? It is 1980.
That's 81.
And this one is 81. So it's a year later.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, there's a party at her house. He has incredible amounts of drugs and is puking all over the place.
Yeah, because he took LSD, I think.
And she still wants to have sex with him even after he's been puking everywhere. Plus, there's just like puke all over the apartment.
I think she's desperate to be young. After a while,
maybe,
just stuff like that, and then she sees this, and there you go. That's the character. What's her name?
The boy.
Beth. No, Beth.
Oh, Beth.
Next page. There you go.
There's Beth.
Yeah, so she's
she walks up to him and just says, "I'm Beth." Like, is he so attractive that women just approach him on the street all the time?
Well, because Beth is part of the group.
Oh, was she at the party? Did he meet her at the party? The party was so confusing.
Yeah. She's part of the group, I think. Okay. As far as I remember.
Maybe she's the one who showed him her breasts. I don't know. Yeah, so this was kind of a confusing story. In fact, totally confusing.
Mm-hmm.
Was Beth the one who drove the car?
It could have been.
Is he fantasizing that he punches her out?
I don't know. I don't remember the issue, to be honest.
Right, it's all a long time ago.
Yeah.
But it sounds like thud, someone else gets hit.
Yes.
So it's like a repeat of the same scene, and then he walks up and punches her out.
Maybe because he's still high on the LSD. You never know.
So maybe in future issues we'll understand what's happened here. But
it's basically he's introducing the characters still to the British ongoing series will be throughout. You know, your Spanish Scott, and then you have Beth, and then the chick who is with Harry, and their friends, best friends, I think, if I remember. And this boy gets involved. I don't remember why he gets involved. Like you said, she picks him up, and then he gets into the party when people start to get to know him.
And this issue was very long. I think it was
you'll see how he gets mesmerized by Beth, and all it's just gonna go unravels. As I say, you have to let it go with it. I know it's a lot of information, there's a lot of confusing connotations and stuff like that, but I think the main part of the story in general, I think, is just those group of people you get involved with, and then everything just escalates from that point onwards.
Ragamuffin saying he likes the lettering of the party section, like maybe this kind of stuff here.
Yeah.
And this is kind of, I mean, not that Will Eisner had people puking and stuff, at least in stuff I read by him, but there is a lot of the techniques here make me think of Will Eisner too.
And your boobs everywhere flashing.
Right.
People.
And again, the cutting off of faces in different ways with the panels.
Yeah.
I think part of it is, since he's decided to always stick with these panels, he's experimenting with what part of things he puts in the panels.
The thing is, anybody who has read Staplets, they always say that it's very difficult to describe what they have read, but they can't look away and they want to know what's happening next.
It's very addictive.
Yeah, because it's just the way the characters get involved into situations, or they get like on the situational points.
Right.
Stray Bullets.
We're looking at Stray Bullets, Terrence. Gray Man says it looks like an unhappy read. I guess it's a bit, if you want to compare it to a movie, it's a little bit like something like Pulp Fiction or something.
Quite a lot, yeah.
And just extended over a much larger period of time.
Yeah.
So it's darkness that is entertaining and intriguing, and sometimes more disturbing than others.
Yeah.
This Spanish Scot is the most intriguing character as he just keeps walking through scenes.
And he always sees everything, you know. He's always there.
Yeah.
Seems to be. He's always like he keeps an eye on things, what's happening around it. Nothing gets away from him, kind of thing.
And there's this character here. Is his name Murder or something? Monster. His name is Monster.
Yeah, that's the guy with the glasses I told you, which is going to be fascinating in long term.
Yeah.
Because they basically, two of them is like almost a henchman. So he's kind of like a muscle guy, I presume, the monster. Everybody gets freaked out, and you have Spanish Scott, who is a sleek guy who can probably talk his way out of anything.
Right.
You know?
So Jared says he often describes Stray Bullets as an ordinary person gets attracted to and caught up with low-level criminals and ends up paying the price. But it is until this issue 5, that we get, I'm assuming we get the person who's the ordinary person that gets caught up in it. You could say maybe that will be the path for Ginny also, although she's already stopped being an ordinary person at this point because of witnessing a murder at such a young age.
Go Without says the right thing. If you focus on Beth, she's a very fascinating character, and she's the one who basically.
But we only meet her in issue 5.
And then since 5, I think, because of the Jewish boy,
and only on the second to last page of issue 5.
Yeah, you'll see her more, definitely.
Yeah. I don't. So you're saying she says hi because they met at the party and he doesn't remember, but he says, "Do I know you?" And she says, "No, I'm Beth." That's nice. You sure I don't know you? It's just an odd series of events, and then this car accident happens, and he's so upset to see it happen all over again that he punches the woman who hit the pedestrian.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's weird, but good.
Yeah, it's a bizarre, as I say, it feels a bit bizarre, but honestly, I remember reading it. I just like, I want to know what's going to happen next. I want to know what's going to do that. And that chick who was like, she had random sex with that guy who it was a main character. And if I'm correct, if that's the woman of that Harris, so she is the one who Beth knows quite well together. And then she gets into drug situations, and they will get involved, and Beth gonna have to situation because of this Jewish boy. And there's so many things collaterally happens that it's just like, as I say.
Yes, it's too beefy. Yeah, Terrence. I forget if Terrence has read Stray Bullets already.
I don't think so.
So I would recommend Terrence, even though seems like the best way to read it.
Yeah.
Actually, maybe look for individual issues or look for the smaller trades. I feel as I read it now, and as we've been discussing it, you kind of just have to let go and see what happens next.
Yeah, I think
my normal strategy as a reader is to try to sort of predict where a story's going.
Yeah,
and
that's will surprise you, I think.
Yeah, in these 5 issues, if the main story is going to be about Beth and that guy, we only get to them at the end of 5 issues. So,
yeah,
you can't. Normally, you would read the first issue and try to figure out who the main characters are and where they're headed.
Yeah.
Yes. Nice. If you see those single issues in bins, Terrence, I would say pick those up.
Yeah, for sure. It's as I say, I don't know. I'm still waiting because he hasn't produced. Stray Bullets, Sunshine and Roses that came out in trades. So they came out in
which was this second. I don't know if it was another 40 issues or it comes after
something issues.
And could you just read Sunshine and Roses and not read this first?
You should ask Jared because he's the one who through them. So
that's what Jared did.
Yeah, there you go.
Damien's Beefy Show.
Beth is connecting tissue. Yeah, between the most characters. Yeah.
Right.
I agree.
I mean, I would think each individual story is of value in its own. I mean, maybe there does eventually develop a main-ish story or something, or some main threads. But at the moment, I'd say I'm most interested in Ginny and in Spanish Scott. Spanish Scott.
Yeah.
Because they're the most sort of intriguing characters to me.
Yeah, Joey is gonna be there for sure. The boy with learning difficulties, and also you'll see the Beth quite.
Jared saying yes, you can read Sunshine first.
Oh, interesting.
And so does Gore.
Interesting. I'm waiting to come out with that grizzly volume you don't like. Because I have one that's like, no, I'm not going to individual traits. Because hardbacks, I don't think he even came out with Sunshine Rose of hardbacks. Nor do I know. I can't tell you.
Scott is saying, so Beth is the gristle?
So yeah, so I'm not sure. Oh, so I'm going to take you to that find of Olaf of last video, remember? He Barry Smith did.
Yes.
Which we were like so surprised, and I was really
I meant to look for that when I was at the store yesterday. Stores yesterday.
You have to keep a note. I think that's the I usually, like I said, I am very prepared. Like I used to go buy back issues, and I always come up like, oh fuck, I forgot something. Like it always.
I'm writing it down here right now.
Ooh,
what was it? Daredevil number
236. So 236, which was a surprise, and then Terrence, and I know you have this issue because you said you collected the whole thing. Did you know there's a Baron Innsma doing the Daredevil? So it's actually the story which it's a beginning of a story of not kind of, I don't know if it's a beginning or it's a story where I read the Devil before an issue where Black Widow was involved. So this is about that the guy the Hazard once again. So I read an issue before, and this professor who's basically tapping into a psyche of the human beings who are kind of looking for people who's absolutely crazy, like has situations like life situations where they something bad happens to them, like maybe childhood or some bad memories of war or anything. I did, but I'm ashamed to say I didn't read all the way to 3,300. I was like 3,000. What is it? So yeah. So and this is Black Widow, according to Barry Smith. She looks very masculine in here, to be honest. To me. And anyway, so she has this conversation. So he's part of this organization where Black Widow gets being paid to do the job for them, and all what they're doing is to look for this guy called Hazard, and they on lookout because he's apparently escaped, I think, as I recall, because this is the story, as I say, I read right at the end, and there was the issue where the crocodile in the sewers was there, so and Hazard was part of it as well. But this is the guy who basically has the ability, or made him an ability, to give people a heart attack on his own will. So he makes them have the same heartbeat as you do, or as he does, and basically makes the heartbeat so much stronger that you basically end up having a heart attack. And yeah, so you basically start to get to know the Hazard guy. And he sits down in here in the bar, and this lady here, oh look, don't you remember me? I'm your lover sweetheart. And then he's like, no, get away from me. I don't want this. No, just like he really runs away from her. And then he runs away from the bar. And it doesn't really show what happens to her, but I think she had a heart attack. And this is all placed in a time where it's July the 4th. So New York is having fireworks everywhere, and the person who has the psychological issues, fireworks doesn't really bode well with them. So of course Daredevil gets there to investigate. He's on the creeping rooftops looking out on people, and suddenly he's basically, by chance, because he's a little bit distraught, he's basically giving a heart attack to somebody else. And of course, because of Daredevil's super sense abilities, he's able to basically hear something's going on. So he goes to inspect it. And then, of course, suddenly we see the Black Widow gets involved, and then Hazard escapes them both, and they're just having a conversation. And it seems to be that Black Widow, which I don't know, I haven't read many of Black Widow and Daredevil's issues, because since the movies came out, they were starting to go in price, so I never picked them up. Or unable to pick up in my collection anyway. But she's apparently doesn't want to talk to him while he's wearing the mask. So he takes the mask off to have a conversation with the Black Widow. And Black Widow explains to him why she's after this guy. And does Daredevil wants to help her? And of course, Daredevil always wants to get involved. And of course, this guy has mummy issues as well. Mummy is very religious. He apparently crucifix in every single angle in the room where they live, in the flat they live. So every angle you look at, you will see crucifix around. So she's very religious, and it also seems to be that kind of a mother where she's like, you should be a stronger man, blah blah blah, and I always help you. You maybe you should do better. And he's an army boy, and I think he even gives his own mom heart attack. And then there's this scene where the mother apparently taking care of some other boy called Tommy or Timmy. Tommy. So Tommy is here. Apparently, he is his hero. So because he's a soldier, and his mom was telling to Tommy that my son is a soldier and hero, and he's basically trying to be like kind of the role model to him. And then he even dress up with he has put a helmet on, and he has this gun, or I guess it's a toy gun, hopefully. But then he gives him a real gun to his hand. So that's how fucked up it was. So yeah, it was continuation was that of course they managed to capture him. Well, he gets captured by Black Widow. Basically, points the gun to the guy's head, and he instead of she shooting him, he pushes the trigger, and that's how he actually dies in his demise. So it was very interesting to see Barry Benson Smith doing the Daredevil comic book. But it's quite.
It almost seems strange seeing him do superheroes at this point.
Yeah.
In his style.
Yeah, and then it's just the way. His panel work is great, and it's very kind of honestly very simplistic. To be honest, I mean, it's the only like action kind of like, but in generally these 2 pages are a great way of telling that he wasn't really doing too much of the things. And this is the scene where the guy basically shoots himself because he pulls the trigger. So that's her hand, and he just pulls the trigger, and she just basically gets really distraught by it. Wow. Because she's like, I don't want to do this, And then the end panel is the kid actually holding the real gun and saying "pow pow pow," which wow. If he pulls the trigger, you never know where it's gonna fly. So yeah, in that sense, it's kind of like really difficult.
It's a little bit like the stray bullets.
I know, yeah, in a way, but like it seems. I'm telling you, I think it seems to maybe I'm noticing more, but more soldiers, and it seems to be it's everywhere around me.
It's everywhere you look is reminding you.
It seems to be. It's kind of you try to get away from the things, but it's very good. I'm really glad I actually found that I had Barry Smith art and doing Daredevil story, but it's called American Dreamer. So he has this Whitecheck is helping inking the Barry Winston Smith art.
Scott mentions the lack of background detail, and I'm guessing that's Barry Windsor Smith's art takes so long to do that he had to cut some corners to get the deadline.
Yeah, especially the scenes like when you have a single people's panels, so you have only one color and nothing in the back.
Rick Ray mentions the interview with Chip Zdarsky where Nocenti says she got the Daredevil job because Barry Smith did the pencils for the first issue.
Wow.
So I wonder if she and he were friends and she got him to do it, or he volunteered. And
because she was working in the business before, isn't she?
She was an editor before she was a writer. I think she edited the X-Men. Chris Claremont said she was his favorite editor.
Yeah,
I believe.
Yeah, but still, you see the final scenes of the. I mean, I like the moments, panels like blood splatters of this. It takes attention, but all that look, that like really like things what he's looking at and sweating, and you see that individual sweat pour like thingy, and it's very moody comic. Honestly, it's nothing. As I say, but seeing a child with a gun, it doesn't make you anything whatever funny to me. But you see those like this weird panel. I was thinking, what is it? And then I remember it's 4th of July. And apparently this issue is there is the new guy. I think is appeared in Daredevil's issue as well. He was in Captain America movie. Anyway, he basically destroyed part of New York because he apparently in earlier Daredevil issues he was appearing there as well. and there's this leftovers of a helicopter on the things, and nobody wants to clean it up because they don't know who he was working for, and apparently he was working part of this body where Romanov is part of. So who's looking for this hazard? So this is just another thing of the tidbits of information what you see. Yeah.
I just looked on Twitter, and I think I was able to send Terrence the link.
Oh, he's gonna come?
Yeah, I don't know if me copying your link worked, but maybe. So that's, I think we're all drooling over that issue. So
this is absolutely fantastic. If you, as I say, there you go. Somebody's appearing.
So that's, I think we're all drooling over that issue. Gonna have to mute the video.
This is absolutely fantastic. If you, as I say, there you go. Somebody's appearing.
I don't think you have to mute yourself, but mute the video in your whatever window.
I turned it off. Yeah, sorry.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Good to see you.
Hello, everybody. How are you? Nice to see you as well. What's going on?
How are you doing? We're doing Daredevils without you.
I was watching. Yeah, I was watching. So we came back from bowling, so I figured I'd jump on for a bit.
Earlier in the show, I showed this thing called Silver Heels. I wondered if you knew of it. I just found it yesterday at a comic book store. I
have it somewhere.
It's a clip, so I figured you might already know about it. It looks really cool.
It does look good.
Have you read it already, or
Bo Hampton?
Yeah, Scott Hampton or Bo Hampton.
Scott Hampton. Right. I haven't read it. I've had it for quite a while. It's funny that you mention him though, because I'm just reading this Lost Planet, which is Bo Hampton.
I have that too, and I haven't read it. I've seen on Twitter that you're reading it.
Yeah. I'm just 2 issues into it. It took me a long time to find all of them, but
I think it's 5 or 6 issues.
A 6-issue mini. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So
and it's good. Sorry, go ahead, Rasa. You were saying. Sorry.
You're aware of Barry Windsor doing Daredevil? So I guess you were.
Yeah. Rick Ray was talking about that interview with
Cindy.
Chip Zdarsky, and she talks about it there. So I mean, I've got those issues. It's just that I've never read all the way up to 300. Shame on me. I really should, because I've got them to 300, minus the first few, obviously. But I need to dig into it.
I actually thoroughly started to enjoy this issue, first appearance of the what's the name?
Typhoid Mary.
There you go. Thanks. So it's really good. Anna Senti stuff is really catching on, and then anything I've so far read is definitely fantastic. So really good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, highly recommend to anybody to check.
Scott, I didn't know that Lost Planet was reprinted semi-recently. I had no idea.
But you can get the original issues for almost nothing.
For absolutely next to nothing. I think less than $1.
At least I got mine for, I think, either $1 or 50 cents a piece.
Yeah.
Would you like to dive into something, Terrence, or should I go?
Sure. Why don't I talk about this one, since we're just talking about it? This main story itself, it's okay. It's all right. But often what happens with these comics and stuff is the backup story. And this backup story in issue number 1, by Scott Hampton, lettering by Tracy Hampton, a story from the collection of Jacob and Wilhelm Grimm. Holy smokes, is this one good? This Godfather Death.
So it's a Grimm's fairy tale of some sort.
Exactly right. Stunning artwork and a really, really good story here. Just very, very short, 6 pages or so. The godfather of this child becomes a death, and kind of helps. The Godfather Death helps the father, and says, if once you kind of go and practice, if I'm standing by their head, If you see me standing by the head of the person, feed them this herb and they'll get better. But if I'm standing by the feet, that means that they have not much longer to live, and I'm going to take them. And of course, he decides that he's going to. Sorry, not the father. This is the god's son. So the god's son decides that he's going to cheat death for this king. Sees death standing by the feet. Turns the body around, so now he's standing by the head. Feeds him the herbs, and then he gets better. Does the same with the daughter. The death warns him not to do it again, and of course he can't resist, because now that he's found a way to cheat death, he does it one more time, and death takes him to the land where all the candles for every living being on planet is kind of surrounded, and snuffs out his light, basically. But it's a beautifully illustrated story. And I would have been completely happy if this kind of thing would have carried on. It's a different short story in the rest of them, not the same style or anything, but the art is just gorgeous. Just to show you that first panel again, because I just love that style a lot.
It's really beautiful.
So nice
candles.
It's a little story there. Really good. And I mean, the rest of the book, I'm 2 issues in. It's forgettable, kind of time traveling to different dimensions. It's just whatever. It's just okay. So I wouldn't rush out and get it or anything, but it's fun enough. What's the backup story in the other one? There's actually a Silver Heels ad as well, too, speaking of which. And the backup in this one is drawn and painted by Mark Chiarello, I believe, Chiarello. Devil's Eye. Pretty nice. Again, a nice one. Not as good as the first, that first issue, but it's great. They really had this kind of style at this time, like especially with Eclipse and Pacific and stuff. That really has this. It's a very distinct style, kind of like how that old Vertigo stuff has a very distinct kind of house style. There's a really similar kind of look here for some of the stuff, even into kind of the Alien Encounters and the horror anthologies and stuff that they were doing.
Right.
Pacific
I see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was tapped into a certain illustrative style of some period. I'm not sure what, but it just captures a slightly nostalgic feel to it or somehow.
Absolutely.
Well, speaking of interesting illustrative styles, you may hear people talking about Dark Knights of Steel, and that continues to be a highly recommended comic.
You wanted this one.
Do the overhead?
Yeah, sorry. You want fans?
It's a little bit, the art style in it is a little bit like that Eclipse era stuff.
Can you explain to me what is it and why people are so fascinated about it?
Okay, so it's a medieval fantasy setting.
Oh, okay.
Where all the major DC characters show up. And it starts with the entire L family. So baby L and the mother and father all arriving in a spaceship. And it's a world that is mostly magic. But they carve out a little empire of their own. And then there's a lot of twists and turns, including, well, how much should I spoil? I don't know.
Just
including the Bruce Wayne character is not really the son of Thomas Wayne. And the Waynes were the kings of the kingdom, and now the L's are.
So is it something like Neil Gaiman did 1601 or whatever, 04 and now?
I never read 1601, but perhaps there's a connection there. And there's something about it, the way it's written and the way it's drawn, that everything just feels spot on. It just really clicks and works. And some people have said like Games of Thrones. I don't know if it's like that. I mean, some characters do die and there is some politics, but it's not as deep and intense as Game of Thrones. But it has this wonderful art and really cool portrayals of these alternate versions of the characters. Like I'm normally not even a Harley Quinn fan, but this Harley Quinn jester is just done so cool, and she's kind of acting as an intermediary between the king and this goddess of the forest, basically, who is Poison Ivy, and she and Poison Ivy kind of have a thing.
Yeah, well, that's what people,
as they often do. Yeah. But I really like the way it's portrayed here and the sort of back and forth.
So is it like a limited edition series or what?
It's supposed to be 12 issues. A lot of people are already hoping there'll be like another 12-issue series.
Oh, it's Tom Taylor. Okay, now
it's Tom Taylor as the writer. And of the Tom Taylor books I've read recently, I feel like this is one of his best. And it's just, I don't know, it's just sort of perfect commercial comic book writing. So it just unfolds in a wonderful way. And on top of that, just this incredible art and color.
Who's the artist again? Did you mind?
They did have a guest artist last issue, but the main artist is Yasmine Putri. And I haven't ever heard of her before.
Nope.
But wherever she's been hiding, we need to dig up other comics by her, I think. If her style was like this all along. So like there's a kingdom that's run by I think Black Lightning.
Wow.
And they have been attacked by the kingdom of El. And I'm not sure quite why, but then the Amazons have a treaty with the kingdom of the Black Lightning. So if they're being attacked by the kingdom of El, the Amazons have to help the Black Lightning kingdom attack the kingdom of the Els and the Superman kingdom. But Wonder Woman is great friends, if not more, with the daughter of this variation on Supergirl, who's the daughter that born on this planet of the Els. So I think they're lovers also. So she doesn't want the Amazons. So anyway, it's all these tangled up plots and stuff, and it's all revealed very nicely.
Batman's role in this El kingdom.
Batman is like the most noble. He's like the Sir Lancelot of their
knight of the kingdom, yeah.
Right, but again, who his father isn't Thomas Wayne, and I'm afraid to give away too much. In fact, after this page, it's all would be spoilery. There's great twists here. But since it's still a very fresh, ongoing comic, I don't want to spoil it. But I don't know if people can find it cheaply yet. It'll be great in a trade. Hopefully I mean, it's such nice artwork. I hate to think of gutter loss and stuff. So anyway, in my opinion, if you're buying one mainstream superhero comic, to the extent that this is a superhero comic,
is this the $5 issues? Because it's the
it's the $4 issues, the regular current price.
Interesting. Well, with Alec on the cover, I guess this is going to be going off the shelves because of that.
Oh, you think whenever you put Harley and
if it's
Poison Ivy together.
Put the babes on it and it flies off the shelf, yeah.
An interesting thing is at the end of the comic, we have the Kents showing up. I'm trying to show it without spoiling too much.
Peasants?
The Kents are peasants, and they're going to be adopting a different person.
Whoosh.
But I don't want to give it. So anyway, fun comic. I don't want to push too hard on telling other people what to read, but if you want to read a mainstream comic, I think this would be a great one to go for.
I bet issue.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Yeah, I bet issue number 1 is already probably off the shelves, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how hard it would be to find.
People are talking about it, and definitely, of course, it has.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing key. There's no key issues involved, so I don't think it attracts the speculators, just the actual comic fans. Yeah. Oh, do we have a guest in the background there?
Yeah.
Is it no first appearance of some medieval Kents or something? You know, could that be considered key
the medieval Kents?
Yeah.
Don't put that idea out there; they'll all start buying.
Yeah.
Terrence is going to see it straight away. Like, okay, it's fine. I'll make money.
Cha-ching.
So, yeah, Terrence.
I think there's some like troll or elf hidden behind you, Terrence.
Yes, we can hear a squeak or two all the time.
Yeah, so. she's watching her shows with her headphones on, but it must be
nice.
something intense going on over there.
Well, hopefully she keeps her headphones on, because you're luck, Terence. You see, you came on right on time, because guess who is going to talk something which I don't usually talk about? It's me talking Junji Ito.
Holy smokes.
So I was telling people before you appeared on the chat, saying that this is library pickup, because I had a nightmare. I decided to bloody read Junji Ito. I don't know why. And it's the first story in here is involved with nightmares. So it's called The Blood-Sucking Darkness. That's really
man, look at that. That's great.
I have to tell you, I don't read this at night. I can't, because I know how many nightmares I usually get and how visual they are. So this chick who gets into like she's teenager, got dumped by a guy, and she decides to, in order to teach him a lesson in a way that she will lose so much weight that he will see that what he's missing out. And then she has this nightmare where she basically dreams of this she walks somewhere and then the blood drips from the sky. She gets petrified and she's like, I don't understand what's going on with me. And then she wakes up and then she sees blood on her mouth, and she's like, what the hell is going on? Maybe it's just like maybe I was puking, because basically, because she was starving herself so much, she started having symptoms where she basically is not eating for like weeks now. And then so she sees the blood on the bed and she freaks the shit out, and then she sees this boy. Seems to be all random, all good conversations happening with two of them. And then oh shit, are you telling her to go away because of what I'm showing?
No, absolutely not. No, carry on.
Because I don't want it to basically, oh my god, showing something really bad.
Oh yeah, anyway, no, she's not watching. She's not paying attention to us.
Great, wonderful. So anyway, so she meets this guy, and apparently this guy has something for her, but she's not noticing him. And then it's like, no, I just want to be a friend, and she's all paranoid. It's like, what do you want from me? Go away. And then she has a nightmare once again. So she wakes up sweating and blood everywhere in her. And the day ago, she sees this boy who she met like a day ago or 2 days ago, let's say this way. And he looks like a Michael Jackson in that Halloween thing.
Thriller.
Thriller, exactly, yeah. So he basically looks like that. So he's kind of like, so what happened? And he's basically, you're not eating, I'm not gonna eat. Because that's how he was besotted by her. And then it just looks worse than her. I mean, the woman, she's skinny, but he gets to extreme levels of that. All right, bye. And then he invites her to this freaky shed. And it's like, no, just come in, and she like goes inside the shed. And then this is the double page. Like there's the bat on the roof of the shed, and it's like, she's like, what the hell is this? And then he's telling her like this story, like nothing, like nothing of importance. Oh, this is those bats doesn't exist. They're from Latin America, and they just help me to lose weight. And then and she in her dream saw this hand which we poked, like bitten hand all over the things, and she sees the hand of his, and she freaks the shit out of. And long and behold, basically, while she is dreaming and having that dream, he's basically feeding her with blood because he doesn't want for her to die. So all those bats coming into her bedroom while she's asleep, giving her blood, because that's what they do. Basically trying to forget, like to help her. So what happens is, because of she's having this information, she freaks out, she runs away, and he's chasing her. And the one thing what happens to him, he's basically been run over by the train, and his parts are everywhere, scattered. She freaks out. I don't know what's going to happen now, and all those bats are following him, because apparently the bats are, he is a master of the bats, and they are also following and start eating his parts everywhere. Another what freaked the shit out of me is that his body part starts to move after the bats was eating it. So it's like, oh, okay, that's going to somewhere. Anyway, and the story ends is that she gets survived, but then she ends up being eaten again, like not eaten, but she's being given like the bats were still doing the same thing what she was doing before with those nightmares. So she ends up going into find him because she still hears his voice for some reason. So she goes into where he was basically smushed apart by the train, and to her surprise, she's like, "Oh, I know something. I know for sure what's happening." Oh wait, I flipped too many pages now. Where is it? Where she discovers. Oh, come on, Rasa. No, I'm missing the page. I can't see. Seems to be because this is kind of freaky. You're very good for your nightmares as well. Sorry. Oh, there you go. So when she goes to discover him, she finds his head. So they took his whole body part. They buried him, but they forgot his head. And then because she freaks the hell out. I don't know if it's a dream or not. It's up to you to decide. He turns into the bat, and they all fly away. And then, so it's just one of those Junji Ito stories, I guess. So yeah, I was like, okay, this is crazy. And then the other one, was the most weird one, Ghost of Primetime. So I don't know how you feel about Junji Ito. So far I see from here, I can't put it to understand it's because it doesn't feel, I mean, it's horror, but it's not really even intense horror for me yet. Because the way his art is so smooth and elegant in a way, there is some panels, and of course, it really helps for me. It's in black and white. But if it was in color, I don't think I would be able to go through many of the stuff because, like this story here, Ghost of Primetime, didn't really feel a role being something like absolutely crazy. But this guy who doesn't have emotions apparently can see ghosts. So he goes into this like stand-up comedy concert, whatever the venue. One of his friends invites him because he's basically his friends or person who knows him basically doesn't laugh at all, so he wants to make him laugh, so he decides to take him into this comedy stand-up. So goes sits down, and these two chicks appears, and they start talking, and then supposedly showing the jokes, but nobody's laughing. And then everybody starts laughing for no reason. So at the beginning, everyone almost wanted to pull them away from the stage, but suddenly some guy just stands up and starts giggling out of, like, doesn't have any control over it, and more people start doing the same thing. And then our main character in this story is like, he's not reacting, but he's freaking out. So he tells his friend, saying, no, we have to go. Let's pack up our shit and just move. And he doesn't want to go because he has the same giggles. So we end up in the alley because his friend basically goes after him. And then they having this conversation, and he's saying basically to him, it's like, something really weird happens. I didn't really have a control over myself. I just couldn't stop. I almost thought my stomach will burst from laughter. And then he said, well, I don't really want to tell you exactly what's happening, but I can see that there's these two chicks who's on the stage using their own souls to tickle people to laughter. So that's why they start, for no reason, uncontrollably start laughing. And they use that soul for everyone. And and the story basically ends that they take into actual television. So the whole Japan ends up being basically laughing. And then the thing is, also the twist is, if you laugh too much, you basically can die from laughter, and you end up in a face like, I'll show it to you, like almost like a Joker. I was like thinking, oh, Joker, the way you see him, has the smile. Where is it? Oh, that's the souls basically trying to capture him as well, because they can't deal with one person who can't be taken over by them, because what they do in order for them to make laugh, the souls tickles the people in order to make them laugh. So it's kind of like a really bizarre tale. Where is that? Oh yeah. So when you die, this is the panel here. You end up basically having almost the Joker's, the way he's manipulating people as well. So yeah, Junji Ito is absolutely bizarre. And then there's another.
I think the dreamlike quality of it makes it a little easier to take than some other more gruesome horror.
Yeah, that's why I didn't take the spiral one, because that took the centipedes to another level. I mean, I've seen the page and I was like, oh, it's like I couldn't even look through it, like. And this one, The Raw, I think it was one of my favorite stories, because it took two boys going on a hike in the mountains, and suddenly they go for a walk and they're having a chat, and suddenly they hear this roar. That's what the story calls as well. And they see this wave of like a tsunami going down, and they sort of like, oh, freak the shit out, like, oh, what's happening here? It was like, we haven't even, it's like, it just appeared out of nowhere, and it's people are basically in the swell of water trying to basically help themselves, and it's like, wait, maybe we should try help them. And then they see this woman's face, and they're like, yeah, maybe we'll help one person. No, surely we can help somebody. But then the minute start looking for something to help, the water disappears, and there's just the left bank of dry earth where something usually happens. And they're like, what the hell just happened? Like, surely we've seen it. And they both look at each other, and it's like, no, surely we've seen each other. Like, we seen both of us like look at each other, like, So basically, we end up having to stay overnight. And say, okay, maybe we're just going to continue hike. This is something really like maybe we dreamt about, or maybe we are tired. Maybe we're just a little bit hallucinating. So we go chill out and everything. So wake up in the morning. So before we go to sleep, the guy with the glasses telling him the story about his kind of childhood. You have the fire place conversation in a way. So we're having this conversation, and he's telling the story that he's an orphan. And unfortunately, he was being given to the family, aunt and uncle. He always had trouble with bath times, and they didn't want to deal with him anymore, so they gave him into adoption. So he gets adopted. So he never met his real parents. And that plays an actual story, and that's where the twist I really enjoyed. And then they wake up in the morning, and then they go in. And they hear the sound again, and this water just flooded, and they walk on that same path where everything dried, so they didn't think anything going to happen. So they start running away from the water, and they're seeing the same face again, the same woman they keep on looking at. And they like freak out, and it's like, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? And then a second later, everything is gone again. So it's like a dream kind of thing. And they go like, we don't know what's going on in here. So they keep on walking. And the guy, one of his friends, one of the guys had the camera. He used to try to take the picture, but the only thing he saw is a static. So that spooky part, like, woo, like almost like a witching hour thingy. And then they see the house. So we go approach the house, and there's this dude, really creepy looking dude, like old, tattered, really tired, looks a very tired dude. It's like, what are you guys doing here? And then it's like, have you seen them? And he's like, they both look at each other like, have you seen the water? It's like, yeah. Have you seen it? It's like, yeah, we did. And then he's telling the story what actually happened. So 30 years ago, like the water bank, like the protective, you protect the area of the water with a wall. I don't know, I forgot the name of that.
So like anyway, a levee.
Yeah, so it basically burst, and the body of water just swept the whole town. And he was one part of this town, and he is like a couple of few of them survivors. He's the only one left in the area, because nobody wanted to, basically whoever survived didn't want to live there anymore because of the memories and everything. And he tells the story about how he basically tried to help his wife and his son. And it doesn't tell you actually if he is the son of that adopted parents who, like, he was adopted because of this whatever happened, but they kind of like Junji's kind of hinting on that kind of thing. It's up to you to decide. And the way it ends the story, basically, this guy is basically tried for the past 30 years to help his wife still. So he's built this bridge, kind of rope bridge, so every single time that roar appears and the body of water appears, his wife appears there, and he's keep on asking her to just hold on, help. I can, like maybe she will help and I can help her. So that's kind of like a husband's wish to save his wife once again. And then the roar still happens, and the body of water comes through, And then he's like, look, like there you go, there, and then she sees her, and then she holds on to the bloody rope, and it's like, hold on, wait, this should be passing by, and then the guy, he decides that, like, oh, I'm gonna go after you, so he jumps into it, and he disappears with the rope. And how it ends, like, you never know if it's gonna be my parents, because before that role happens, he kind of wanted to ask him, "Are you my father?" Kind of that question, the typical question. And of course, the body of water just came through, and he couldn't ask that question. So one of the best stories, and that's why I picked up as a page of that. And then another story which I read, it was like, it's a little bit too much for me. There's this it's called Earthbound, and in Japan apparently they have this sickness happening where randomly people in places end up being like statues of living people, and they don't move, and they just stay in this position, and they actually can talk, so people can actually come up to them and talk, but they don't want to talk to you about anything else. And there is this drama where they're saying, like, the government's like, we're not doing anything about it because they can't help them, because they don't understand what's happening, and this becomes like a pandemic. And then there's this weird chick who comes, she works for this company called Blue Company, I think if it's right. And she goes to this guy, and she's like, can I come and I want to talk to you, I want to help you, maybe, decide, like, you just want to find out what's happening to them and why they are like in that kind of position. And and such a like a typically manga face of the female, it's just like, and then she's keep on finding people, and she keep on asking a question, and then how she finds out some information is by this boy who's being like, or like holding himself, and he sits by the grave of his dog who's died. And then the mom is sobbing away and asking her own son, please wake, like, stand, please eat something. Don't do this to me. Like, don't do it to yourself. Just like, you live. But apparently after a while, if they stand in the same position, they start to becoming mummified. So they become like a stone. So the government decided to take them away. And another freaking part of this chick's story. So a person who is in charge of the company ends up in her apartment standing like that, and she freaks the shit out, or like, why you are here, like, what's happening? I just talked to you like 5 minutes ago. And he ends up being in her apartment, appears out of nowhere, in second floor, closed doors, there's supposed to be lock, nobody is able to enter my apartment. How did you end up here? So she finds out that this guy, there are people who is basically earthbound, is the people who has done something bad. So the kid with where the dog was buried, he killed the dog. This guy apparently serial rapist, and he raped her previously. She didn't know about. So that's like, that's like uncomfortable because the way, and that's the parts when they break apart, they even shatters like a statue and stuff like that. Like the head just falls off. They try to remove them.
It's funny when horror just makes me laugh.
Well, that's the thing.
It
actually gave me a bit smirk. Like, I was uncomfortable, but it smirked me most of the time. So I wasn't sure. I don't know how to describe the genre. I mean, I know it's a horror, but when you give you like, the bad thing, it felt like kind of like, like not very serious, even though it's a very serious matter of being, depressed and you're not eating and then blah, 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 and situations on that continue just go through that, bulimia and all that kind of stuff. But I don't know, I didn't feel like I took it very seriously, nor should I. It's a fiction anyway, but it's just the way of the things what they're using to do that. But that's how far I got into. The next one would be a Death Row Doorbell, which is probably something completely bizarre and crazy to tell stories of. So yeah, I have not even touched halfway through. But another thing I wanted to point out, so I always had the problems with reading manga because of the way you go from that side to another side. So from left to right. No, from right to left. And but his Junji Ito panels, especially in this one, as I say, I'm not familiar with him at all. It's very easy to follow. because it doesn't go crazy panels. Okay, it doesn't have those crazy layouts of like other mangas I've seen before or experience, especially action ones. Because for me, when it's action one, I don't know how to follow. In here, it's easy. You go from here to there, from there to there to there, and it's easy. Like you just got to follow. So I felt it's actually quite good to read. So I'm not sure if Junji Ito made it on purposely doing that, because maybe he wanted to expand his audience, like now what he has. But this is just my train of thought for this. But I'm okay with it.
At this time, I mean, his market, he realizes his market is North America too. So it's quite possible that he's writing it with that in mind for sure. Yeah.
Either that or just by chance he's certainly a good entry level manga for me. Much easier to read than some of the others.
So this
even The Walking Man, which I loved, was harder to keep reminding myself what direction to read in.
Yeah. And this one is a nice collected edition hardback, like the way it is. It's 13 stories in one hardback. And in the UK, it was $15.99. But this is my library.
Nice. Generally, for a hardback, that's a very good price.
Yeah, that's a very good price.
I think also it helps that horror is a genre we're very familiar with, right? A lot of other Japanese genres are kind of unfamiliar or semi hard to pin down or something.
Yeah, so far, as I say, I was reading it. It goes quite well. I mean, as I say, but I never, as I say, I can't put my thumb towards it to understand exactly how you could describe it. I mean, you can describe it as a horror. I mean, that's what everybody's describing him at. But that smirking part, like when you like laugh a little bit because of what situational things, it just doesn't take itself seriously, even though it's horror. Because when you're horror, what's in my mind, you go horror and you finish horror. You don't want any, like, you're smiley, you want to freak out the whole way throughout and just finish, and then you see your reactions towards the horror. But this one, I just felt like, why I'm laughing? It's kind of weird because I don't experience that kind of thing, because I usually tend to freak out most of the time, and especially in the sense of watching movies horror. I don't digest movies at all. I can't, like Chainsaw Massacre, probably Terrence was digesting it and smiling and happy days, but for me, I can't even go there. It just gets to the point where my imagination goes wild in my own brain afterwards, and I can't fully digest and say, okay, shove it aside, forget about it, just get on with what you're doing. It seems my subconscious saying, no, let's just play around with it. Let's make you even worse. And then wake up sweating like crazy. Because like a nightmare I had before I went to library to get these books, aliens were attacking, and me and my husband and my son were running away. And we were running like so badly that I was like prepping, like the preppers you talk about. So we had this car, and everything was prepped. We're ready, and we're running, and people are dying, like literally smashed, like a huge hand of alien just and blown you to death. And it was so realistic. It's just like, and that's what my brain works like somehow. I don't know, like I think it's just situation of what happens in the world. It's really because I see what news and about people and how the crumbles of the towns where used to be. My mom telling stories how she went in Ukraine and see this town and she doesn't recognize him anymore. So that kind of thing, I think it plays in my mind. As I say, even that kind of stuff works for my nightmares, which is not great. So that's why I don't digest horror that much.
Yeah. Well, I think, not that they're the same, but Junji Ito makes me think of Franz Kafka in the sense that you can't pin it down, but you know it when you see it, right? You know a Kafka story, you know what's Kafka-esque. It feels like these are Junji Ito's stories are all very Junji Ito. They're not like something else.
Well, the thing is, I'm glad that honestly that spiral thing I didn't want it to, because it's just like it plays with your body parts and then what he's doing. So that stuff, just like I said, I flipped a couple of pages because only was this one and that spiral as a choice to pick. So I was like, no. I looked at that first story and bats. Oh, okay, I can do with bats. I think I can deal with that.
Ease your way in.
Yeah, exactly. So I just picked that one instead. So. But good that I found it in library anyway, so it's great for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's good to see the art again too. Like that looked really nice, that one.
Yeah, it looks really clean, and there's some peakiness happening later on. Really, like there's some. Of course, when I'm flipping through, I can't show it to you, but there's a couple of panels. They look like this guy. Oh, that's gonna be work of art. Look at those teeth. That's great. Exactly what I did. Well, definitely not. It's gonna be like really like midday read because I'm definitely not gonna do this now.
Don't go to the dentist right after reading that.
I did. Yeah, I don't like dentists already, so that's gonna help me a lot. Shut away! Run away! So
hilarious.
Anyway. Yeah.
Do you have something else up your sleeve, Terrence?
There's a couple things that I read that I didn't really like, so I don't know if I'd talk about those. But I'd quickly show this the Chaland anthology. Number 2.
This is the one you found recently, isn't it?
Yeah, I just picked it up yesterday. So once a month at Red River Books, they have the upstairs open, and I'd forgot that this was there because I picked up the first volume, I don't know, a year or 2 years ago now at this point. And I read it and I enjoyed it, but I was just in the mood for something, gigantic sized. I haven't tucked into it yet, but it was just on my radar. I've taken all the European stuff from upstairs that he has that's really interesting, so there's really not much left there, but I didn't want to leave this one sitting there any longer. Everything else is currently in my house, but it's great. It's really, really nice, kind of that clean style, it's, I don't know much about him as a creator, as an artist, as a writer. I don't know much about who influenced who, as far as there's some very Tintin-ish looking characters in here. So I don't know the lineage of how these things worked. But I'm really looking
Any sense of when it was published?
Let's have a look here.
Because I think Tintin was around since the 30s.
Yeah, I imagine Tintin was first. I doubt that this was first. But yeah, it doesn't give the original date. This version.
I bet there's an Earl Grey video on him. I feel like there's a long time ago there was.
Yeah, there must be. So they don't have an originally published date in here. They just have, for this one, is 2003. Nothing else information-wise. This one has a couple of backup, some bonus features in it as well, too. Nice. I haven't given it a good look, but some nice black and white stuff. And then some of the reproductions of the original albums and things, front and back covers. And then some color chunks as well. So it's a nice, sturdy, thick. I mean, it was $40 when it came out. But it's you get a beefy chunk of stories here. So I don't know how many volumes it went. The other one, because I brought down number 1 as well too, because I figured I'm going to read them. May as well read them all again. And that's volume 1. So I think this one has 3 stories in this one. Nothing extra from what I remember, just the stories, and that's it. Yeah, just the stories themselves. But I mean, it's just gorgeous. Really, really nice. So I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, other than that, I mean, stuff that I got. But like I said, there was a couple of things I read that I grabbed that new Strange issue number 1 and was kind of disappointed.
Yeah, I read it too. I think after I saw your disappointment on Twitter, so it helped me lower my expectations. But
right.
But the art, I looked at you posted a couple of pages of the art, and art doesn't look great for the Doctor Strange thing at all.
It was a very bad art choice, I think, for that.
Yeah.
For that. And the writer who did a good job on the Death of Doctor Strange, it felt like a different writer, even though it was the same writer.
Oh, really? Hey, okay.
So I was a bit confused what happened there, but
yeah.
So did they actually kill Doctor Strange?
Yes and no. They killed him several times during the Death of Doctor Strange, and now he's supposedly dead, but he was alive and then just faded away. And
so he's in another dimension then?
They're not even very clear on how dead he is or
he'll be back.
Yes,
all I know
obviously.
Is I had to get this cover. This Frank Bronner,
that's a nice cover.
Yeah, so I mean, I bought it for the cover. Is basically what it turned out. I didn't intend to, but that's what it turns out to be. You know,
even if it had been just an okay Doctor or Clea story, I think I would have stuck with it. But it seemed really subpar, so I think I'm not sticking with it at all, which makes me sad because I would like to.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Marvel
I had high hopes as well too, because I mean I was hoping that it would be. I don't know, man. It's just like dipping into mainstream stuff. So like the big two, I guess. So very, very frequently, not very frequently, rather.
Infrequently. Yes.
And it's just when I dip in, it's like, crap. You know, it's just a disappointment.
Right.
But whatever. What are you gonna do?
You dip in it. Oh, good, amazing. You get surprised, and number one you pick up. Oh shit, it's still continuing.
Yeah.
I think, that whole thing about 90% of everything is crap is really true with Marvel Comics. So your average random dip into Marvel Comics is not going to be great.
Yeah.
Maybe DC also, but it seems Marvel, the odds are even worse. But Marvel publishes the most, so that's also a factor.
$5.99 number one cover still, like what they do.
I think this one was $5.99. Yeah.
Because that's what do Marvels, isn't it? Number one.
Yeah, it was $4.99. It was $5.
$4.99. Yeah.
Yeah, like £5, and then they go $3.99, isn't it? After.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
I just stay to continue.
Yeah.
Well, see, I thought I had found a good writer because I liked the death of Doctor Strange, but no, he's not that consistent.
Yeah, and I liked the premise of it leading up to it. I was really curious, so
So you both finished. You continued throughout the story. You picked up every issue of the death of Doctor Strange.
I did.
I never read any of it.
Oh, you didn't? Oh,
no.
It's not so great that I would say rush out and get it, but if you find the issues in some back issue bins, it might be worth it.
I keep on hoping the library would have something new stuff, but you don't hope much. It's too soon, like
you'll get it eventually.
Yeah.
Wait half a year, maybe we'll get it something.
Yeah, this is the only mainstream comic I really recommend right now.
Oh, talking about Doctor Strange and Terrence's involvement of me buying action figures, I haven't bought it yet because apparently your escape is glued on, so you can't remove it. Did you know that?
Say that again?
That figure you were recommending to have a look.
From Walmart or something.
Yeah, we got
Walmart.
I got really obsessed about it because it's Doctor Strange and it looks 90s, old school version of Doctor Strange. His cape is glued on, so you can't move it.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
I mean,
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because it has that, like you were saying, it has that kind of retro-ish, 80s, 90s feel to the figure. I was sad to hear that it was just a Walmart exclusive because I really like the look of it. I thought it looked pretty sharp.
I can get it in here, no problems. There's lots of there's some retailers who has it online mainly.
Okay.
I see that through, but I'm not sure because of that cape. So I don't know.
Yeah.
He has that levitating motion. Like you can make him levitating, which is great. Like his eyes are closed and he has this like a gray part and his mustache and everything looks really great.
Yeah.
But just I'm not saying that would be a killer, but maybe I'm not just gonna run towards it. Maybe you can get it so I can see.
I saw, like, I did a bit of digging and I found it, like, obviously eBays and things like that, but it seemed pretty pricey when I was looking. It was like $60-$70 Canadian, which seems kind of that's a little nuts.
£25 here in online.
Geez, yeah.
So I mean, it's normal price usually, I think. Oh no, maybe it depends. I don't really know, to be honest. I'm not into that action figures. I just get sometimes because I like the look of it.
Yeah.
But it's not usually those Legends because Legends is very popular apparently.
Super popular, and that's the thing. The Legends that I've seen out there, they usually cost about $20-$25 Canadian. You know what I mean? So that 25 UK, that's going to be closer to $50 for me, which is still a little too steep for me as far as like, I don't need any more figures. Stop making cool looking figures. I don't need any more. But it does look awesome.
Apparently, for the first time, they start raving about they have builder figures, so you have to buy a lot of them in order to build one.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah.
Yeah, so that costs you about $200 let's say this way, maybe to get them to build something else, like that's exactly what your parents as for or if a child will do. Just this is $250 for you for your action figures.
Yeah.
People are raving because they created one of the characters. Apparently, he looks spot on. Like you put them together and it looks really good.
Oh wow! Yeah.
What it is.
So it's worth $200 then.
Apparently, because now like people get into statues, people get into figures. So they say, but only that collected thing, which you collect them, build a figure, that goes for like $150 if somebody actually tries to sell it.
Right.
People just puts the money everywhere. I mean, if you can find those Walmart exclusives, apparently those Walmarts are quite cheap for you guys, and they have I don't know.
Yeah, I can't do it, man. I can't support Walmart. I just can't do it.
No, I mean, I don't know. Are you have in Canada Walmarts as well then?
Unfortunately, yeah, we do. Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Got a good photo of Lillian giving Walmart the finger.
The ultimate enemy of labor. So
exactly.
It's not going to go there.
Are they the
absolutely not.
Owners who are like billionaires of that Walmart chain, isn't it?
They're amongst the richest family in America.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Oh, there's that strange creature behind you showing up.
She is.
Her ears have turned blue.
Yeah.
What happened?
It's the eyes. The eyes. Hello.
Oh,
can you hear them?
We're going to have a takeover.
Yeah.
Any comics to recommend to us, Lillian?
Yeah. Do you read any comics?
What did you read?
I read Guts.
Guts, yeah. What's that series a part of? Do you remember what the whole series is called? Or
is that Raina Telgemeier?
I think that's it. Yeah, I think you got it, Damien. That's it.
Oh,
because there's a whole bunch of them too.
She wrote Smile and a couple of others.
That's exactly it. Yeah. So she read that yesterday, didn't you? When we were hunting upstairs, she sat. We found a chair, so she got all comfy and she read the book while me and my son were digging through the bins upstairs and looking on the shelves, and she read that full thing. And then today, what were you reading today? What was that one called?
Tale of the Lost.
And is that the Descendants? That show, The Descendants or something? Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah, The Descendants.
Good.
Yeah, good. Yeah. Yeah, there's quite a lot of I mean, as you well know, there's a lot of good kids graphic novels out there, and Red River's got chock full. Like he's got a ton of them, and all for pretty cheap and in really good shape, so like $5. I think that one cost her $6 maybe.
Oh, nice.
And it was pretty much brand new, so really good deal.
Wow.
I remember when my daughter loved The Descendants.
Yeah.
And the Raina Telgemeier also did The Babysitter's Club. I know kids love that one.
She loves Babysitter's Club as well too. Yeah.
I have it all the way. I have it all the way to 10.
Is that how many books they did? 10?
No,
they have more than 20.
Yeah.
Wow.
Lots,
wow.
Yeah.
There's a lot to read.
Yeah.
Yeah, my daughter loved The Babysitter's Club and The Descendants.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to remember some of the others. But anyway, those were near the top of the list.
Yeah.
I'll be soon in that realm as well, because they're pushing in preschool of my son. It's like, books. And he's like, you buy him a book and he goes like a page, like, there you go, I read it. And it's like because I had to go. It was an event with parents. They're gonna read the book. Librarian is coming into the preschool. Mm-hmm. Everybody gonna sit down, and my son decides nope, and he runs around. So the teacher or head of the teacher had to pick him, like almost to distract him with other books in order for him to sit down and just listen.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my, why my son? It's like, why not? It's like I just have to be. And they asked me to bring his favorite book. I said to her, I'm sorry, I didn't bring it because it's like in pieces and I can't find all of it, all of the parts of the book. So I'm sorry about that. She's like, oh no, don't worry. Okay, fine. Thank God, I got away with that.
I would guess eventually Dog Man would be good for him. It's full of that boy sense of humor.
Dog Man is pretty funny.
Buy him anything new.
I have 2
books.
2 Dogmans?
No.
Did you ever find did you ever see Zeta the Space Girl? That was another one my daughter liked a lot.
Zeta the Space Girl, do you recognize that one? No.
I think
we also started reading
Donald
Donald Duck together. I got that Donald Duck volume. We read the first 3 stories of that.
That's
really great. It's really entertaining. Cool. Yeah. It's great to read together, actually. It's pretty fun.
Mm.
Yeah. Now that my daughter's older, we are reading the Flintstones together. The
awesome.
Mark Russell Flintstones, that is the spoof on Civilization.
How she finds it.
And she's really enjoying it. We're reading it out loud together. We've read about 4 or 5 issues.
That series. It was 12 issues or something like that?
It was 12 issues, and they've just come out with a hardback. A deluxe hardback.
How does it feel like binding wise?
It's not horrible binding, but it's not great.
It's DC. You like 50-50.
Yeah, it's okay.
I don't know when they bind the books and hardcovers, whatever publishers they're using, the glue they use is really really glued in there. So when you open it, that crack probably comes out like really bad.
Yeah, it's nice reading it on the slightly bigger pages, and this really holds up well in a reread, I have to say.
I wish this tip you come out with comic book in the kind of same fashion. I guess I'm a fan of Flintstones. I just love Flintstones in general.
Right.
So.
At first, I remember when it first came out, I kind of hated it because of being so different from the Flintstones I loved as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
But now I really appreciate how he took the whole thing to just make an incredible sort of critique of all our preconceived notions of what makes civilization.
Mm-hmm.
Everything we do is just to buy more crap. Is one of his themes.
Don't watch the Cup movie then.
And the way he plays with the animals that are used as utilities is hilarious and disturbing.
Yes.
But it's just right for a 13-year-old who's starting to become conscious of the negative aspects of the world.
Oh.
Give a light, humorous attack on all of that.
Yeah, don't too much introduce to everything so scary,
I have one other thing to recommend. Scott Connor's going to hate me, but I don't know if it's my turn or not, but since I was already talking, I really enjoyed Radio Spaceman.
Are you going to do your fancy camera?
Sure, I can. It's really cool art, so I might as well.
Mm-hmm.
So the background on it is that I got a message from Scott Connor before I read it saying that it was such a huge, huge disappointment. And I already known before I bought it that it was not drawn by Mike Mignola. It was kind of advertised as if it was the return of Mike Mignola, but it's really just a new character invented by Mike Mignola, but drawn by someone else. The artist is Greg Hinkle, and I don't know how many people read Airboy by him and James Robinson back like 5 or 6 years ago.
Airboy or Aeroboy?
Airboy.
I think I know of it.
They brought back Airboy, but it was metafictional where Airboy meets James Robinson and Greg Hinkle, and there were these crazy things where Greg Hinkle started drawing their penises larger and larger and stuff.
Yeah, I know of it, but I've not read it.
So I really liked his art there. So after I got over the sadness of not getting more Mignola art, I was open to Greg Hinkle art. And what it is it's just a totally wacky, simple, sort of retro pulp sci-fi about this old scientist or something who can plug himself in and remote control. There he is plugging himself in. Remote control this kind of either it's either a robot astronaut or a dead astronaut with some kind of robo materials in his spacesuit. So when there's an emergency somewhere on some planet, they send him in to go rescue people.
It's a future Elon Musk. That's what
future Elon Musk. Yeah.
That's what he's going to do. He's going to just plug himself in.
Right. But it's got all these, weird retro touches. Like he's contacted on this old-fashioned telephone, and he lives in this creaky old mansion. But then inside the mansion is some, laboratory that's just run by these guys with light bulbs on their heads who are asleep till he wakes them up. So I think they may be animated corpses also. I don't know. But so I think it's not to be taken seriously at all, judging. It's just 2 issues, and there's very little dialogue. And, he fights some dogmen aliens, And at the end of this issue, there's some giant monsters. We see that the people he's rescuing have been captured by this cult. It's this woman he's come to rescue, captured by this cult that want to sacrifice her to their god. So it's just like typical pulp elements thrown around and just kind of a wacky, fun kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And it's colored by Dave Stewart, and I particularly like Dave Stewart's color in this one. I felt like he really, sometimes it's just like the same old Dave Stewart coloring that we've come to take for granted. But I thought he really picked up the pace on this coloring job.
I have a feeling that Mignola has artists who actually okays them to do the way he wants the story to look like. So he becomes an artist. It basically maybe tells them in the script like what he looks like, why he wants to do this.
It'd be interesting to see if he has little sketches in his script.
Yeah, because I'm wondering because every single time you see Mignola's name on the comic book as a writer, you always have a sense that there's some hint. I mean, it's not him. You definitely see it's not him. But
there's a Mignola vibe to it somehow.
It just has that sense of it, it is done like it's written by him, but it's not done by him.
Yeah. But maybe he does layouts for them to work with or something. I know some writers do that anyway.
Sounds like Greg Hinkle is more than capable of doing that, though.
Yeah. It's fun that he's kind of unleashed Greg Hinkle to just do crazy pulp sci-fi imagery.
Which is great.
But it's not deep at all. You're not missing anything if you don't get it. But I do think it's a fun little ride.
Yeah. Look great.
And that pretty much covers all my reading so far. I mean, I've read a bunch of other stuff from my new comic stack, but those two are the kind of the highlights so far. And I'll put out a countdown in a few days. But
I decided to invest finally into a comic, which I wasn't really thinking I'm going to do, but because it's X-Men, I spent £10. We delivered £2, so £12 in total for first appearance of Mega Red. Because apparently there's a hint because X-Men are coming back. So I was thinking, okay, before it blows up into my eyes, I'm going to get it because I'm an X-Men fan and I do collect X-Men comic books in generally. So I was going to pick it up before. So I went on eBay, started hunting, looking, and it's not in the best of shape either, which I didn't look for best of shape either anyway. I just wanted to have it because I knew if I don't do it sooner or later, I'm probably going to miss out and I won't be able to get it in my collection. And that's Jim Lee. And his whole beauty of Jim Lee's and his creative of overcomplicated panels and very, very angry Wolverine. He's stupid but for a reason. So Omega Red is being awakened in order to kill him. So Wolverine is always have somebody coming after him because he's such a douche. Everybody has to. And there is this scenes of sexy basketball. Maybe I should put myself into where Gambit looks extra sultry. Look at him. Hooping like an NBA player. Look at those muscles. Hey.
Legs akimbo.
Yeah, he looks like 90s through and Jubilee. So apparently
something to inspire your husband to exercise.
Well, he needs to speak French then.
I'm just causing trouble.
So apparently Jubilee and Wolverine teams up against Gambit and Rook to have a basketball game in this issue because 90s was very popular in NBA and stuff like that. And then they're having this dirty basketball game where Rogue and Gambit is just doing whatever the hell they want with Jubilee and Wolverine, and it's like, oh, don't use your powers. We're just supposed to be playing a basketball game. Apparently, Gambit and he's like Mon Ami actions with his thing, and it's just manages to do this, and then Wolverine got so fed up he just toppled the basketball. So fuck it, I had enough. You can't shoot anymore, so he just drops it. So it's a very good Jim Lee, I must say. I really like this group of panels especially.
Yeah, nice paneling.
The face you can see, and of course you have this over masculine X-Men with Cyclops. Even the Professor X looks in that chair looking all smitten. And then there's just two twins who gets involved. There's a lot of story going on here, which I haven't I honestly haven't read any Jim Lee X-Men because I'm more concentrating on. I was always thinking I'm going to concentrate more on the earlier stages of X-Men. Not really, but I lots of people raving about Jim Lee, and of course 90s. If you grew up with 90s comic books, Jim Lee would be your like Kirby and everything because of the figures and your classic biker scenes with a hot Gambit going on with a cigarette in his mouth, and it's like, you know what, mon ami, I'll do you anytime I want. Something like that. It just had the vibe of the 90s. I mean, I know people, if you have not lived 90s, so Jesus, this is basically a good prominent feature of that. It's just like it also puts you back in the 90s of watching TV shows, the basketball courts and everything. It's a typical thing. But anyway, so yeah, so this is my I just got it because of I wanted to make sure that I have this because I heard the rumor click button that's apparently he's gonna appear somewhere. But if he does,
this is your big spec book?
Yeah, in my collection. Like, make sure you have it before it blows up in your face. So I did it. Because I was looking at it, I seen this. What really pisses me off, I've seen this in the 50 P bins like 4 or 5 years ago. Now, of course, you can't do that anymore because I haven't been in a comic book shop for a while. So I just decided, okay, I'm just gonna. I went on eBay and I was basically bidding, and somebody else was bidding higher. When my was £10. This is my cutoff point. So I was like, waited, up £10, and I was like, wow, I won. Okay, good, okay, because I didn't want to pay a penny more. I didn't because this copy is not worth more than that because it's worn. And somebody read it really nicely, like somebody's really enjoyed it. So I'm just happy to have this. And then to show Terrence, I picked this up, got a library as well. So you read it, and I really, you really like the art. Tony Sandoval's
art is gorgeous. It's gorgeous art.
Yeah, it's very dreamy looking things in. But I know why you said to me about that story of this childlike characters. We got involved in very kind of like dreamlike states of situations she was in, especially of parallel universe she was going through that tree. But the places where we're having a kiss, and then when her boobs grew up because suddenly she just of her age, it just felt a little bit uncomfortable in some moments on that sense. But honestly, it didn't really push away from the story because I really like this, like his watercolor. I wished he just kept with watercolor throughout the whole thing.
Yeah.
Because when he was doing that, I mean, I didn't mind this at all with the inking part, but he just left that kind of it just didn't feel as great as those kind of like list panels on like it just looks so much more. But I guess his own point was to get, because it's a parallel universe, you have to kind of like show that in the comic. So it does really help if you had different style of approaches towards it. So basically the short story is this girl who apparently everybody else was calling her witch because she's a little bit different. She has all white hair, and then this, is she adopted, or she was staying with somebody else, not her father or something? Anyway, so she discovers this tree, which is here, and this, if you go through that tree, you go into parallel universe where these monsters or creatures or whatever, they are there for I don't know what reason, to be honest, but they came through the same doors because she opened the doors for them to go through the other universe, and they basically wanted to eat all the children. And because she has a father, that's the father appears there, so I guess she was living with somebody else in order to, and her father, she basically sees them. So nobody's supposed to be seeing them. The only children supposed to see those monsters. It's like a dream kind of thing, like where kids see something, but you as an adult can't. Anyway, but art is absolutely fantastic. Sandoval is in here, and the story wasn't too bad, but nothing to throw about. Like saying like, oh my god. But art-wise, and this page layouts is fantastic. So thankfully for my library, I was able to just discover this. So, and it publishes in Magnetic. I don't know, but I really like this bag with that the horn. She collects this horns or skulls, and she's kind of weird kind of thing, but it's just great. It looks really great in here. So anyway, it's just a good experience to just experience Spanish, isn't it? Spanish.
Is it Spanish originally?
Yeah, he did Doomboy, A Glance Backwards, and Water Snakes. Apparently,
right.
His body of work. Oh no, it's French. Well, it's published in France apparently, originally. This body of work. So I don't know. I think it's Spanish because I think I looked it up him because I kind of heard him before, maybe because you mentioned it as well. But the art feature is definitely great to look at. I mean, for some people, everybody says love the art. The story is like a bit mangled. It's kind of difficult to understand at first or get invested in her. I mean, it's curious. There's some moments, really great moments, but he dips down. It seems like maybe he didn't have great editorial help or he didn't have it at all. But it feels like that he would needed that a little bit just to tie the story up because it's kind of interesting. The way that the mystery part where her dad appears out of nowhere and he looks like a gunslinger with this,
totally does,
hat, and then he has this mustache which just goes really long, and it's just like, oh yeah, Western. There you go, pew pew pew.
Totally.
your Western thing. So yeah, so it just had mystery, had great kind of like I think idea, but it wasn't fully to the point where you say, okay, yeah, I would definitely recommend to people to read. But if your library has, highly recommend just check what people can do with watercolors. Really good to look at. And it's
a really good mix of styles. I think it works well together for sure. I'm curious enough to see some more of his stuff. To see what else it looks like.
It's a continuation of the story, so whatever he's produced is kind of the same universe apparently. So so it was interesting. But yeah, that's why what the whole things I've done as well. So.
What do you think of the rounded corners on the book?
Talking about rounded corners, this book has been bashed quite nicely.
It's been bashed. Heck yeah, I saw that.
So, but no, it's. I mean, I don't mind it. I like it. It's actually quite. Sometimes it's quite sharp, and the minute you get them, they go inwards like this Junjito copy. Right. I don't know if you can see, but
yeah.
It
bends inwards towards the paper.
You feel like it's rounded, but it's not. It's actually supposed to be sharp, but it's not. Because of the usage of the hardbacks, and sometimes depends of they're saying that's the problem with the hardbacks and generally for longevity. This is the part where they start breaking in, and then if you're 50, 60 years
maybe
later,
it tends to be that's what gets bumped when you're putting it back on the shelf.
Slide that like a bookshelf and stuff like that. But
the librarians tossing it around.
yeah.
Like, oh yeah, look at myself.
The juggling librarians.
That's a good story. Somebody needs to write. Probably would read it. But anyway, so yeah, this is I always I go to library sometimes and I know everything I want to pick it up because of my mood and everything, but it's always good to discover something. And they had lots of like Family Tree, wasn't interested. Even though I know people read it and stuff like that. But there's a lot of new stuff, but there wasn't like, I want like more something bizarre or like that's why I picked up against Junji Ito. But also I picked up, I don't know if you've seen, no, probably didn't, but I picked up Thanos stuff, something Marvel. It's all collected, a couple of it to just get yourself familiar more about Thanos and his background. It's the newer stuff collected in here. It's a UK edition. It's actually really good price, $17.99 for. I don't know how many pages. I don't remember. It's not hardcover, it's a softcover.
Oh, it's not. Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's the pity, but I don't know how many pages.
But that is cheap because over here, a lot of the Marvel paperbacks are closing in on $40.
Yeah, that's one. $17.99, and it says Marvel, but that's UK Marvel.
Right.
Yeah. But this is something I wanted just to discover because it has. As I said before, it has his first appearance in here. So if you don't own a copy, you can read it and stuff like that in that kind of thing. So it's kind of great, and it's in color also. So it's great to collect that. And also, I went to a charity shop and they had Superman's first appearance, like in those showcase.
Oh yeah.
So, but I didn't pick it up because half of it was torn. It's like, oh shit.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's all in black and white and stuff like that. So I was thinking maybe, but it was, nah, I'm not gonna buy even paper bag and it's half torn. It's like, I'm not gonna spend money for something like that.
Speaking of collections, Damien, did you get the Jim Starlin Warlock hardcover by any chance?
I have ordered it from In Stock Trades, but I haven't received it yet. Yeah, I'm curious what that's like.
What is it?
Yeah.
They're calling it a gallery edition. It's oversized. I'm not sure if it's original art reproductions or just going to be a oversized color comic. I'm not sure which.
Yeah, yeah. I've talked to my comic guy to see if he can get a copy for me. I'm hoping that he has some success because the usual channels are sold out, but he's gonna see if he can find it.
I hope I
I'd love to grab it.
That's amazing that it's sold out already. It's like a week old.
I believe that's what he was saying. At least in the anyway, he's gonna try to get a copy. I'm hoping he can because I'd really like to read that stuff.
Yeah. No, I know that Marvel underprints these things and they sell out quickly. I don't understand why they do that, but
body of collection or just work what he done on that character?
I think it may be all of his work on Warlock from the 70s reprinted in a oversize.
I see.
But I haven't seen anyone show it on a video yet.
No,
so I don't know for sure what's on the inside. I've just seen pictures of the cover.
Yeah.
So I kind of ordered it sight unseen, but I figured either way I want it.
Yeah. It feels like it would be a pretty safe bet.
I just want it all.
Right.
But I loved Jim Starlin's Warlock and his Captain Marvel back in those 70s Marvels. He really kind of pushed the envelope a lot.
Well, there you go. So there's a channel called Near-Mint Condition, and he did overview of that.
Oh, yeah. I do watch Near-Mint Condition. I must have missed that one. And he gets things in advance. I think he's so big that they send him free copies in advance.
Nice.
Yeah. He has a inside word with Marvel, and he has gets them for sending to them. So because the more apparently he was like, it's good for them because he produces the word and people are buying off the shelf. So
have I mentioned how much I love a Blaze and a Blaze and a Blaze and a Blaze comics and a Blaze? Anybody, hey.
I don't know if you. I think it was last week. I showed another Ablaze comic by Maria Lovett that I was starting to read, Eros and Psyche.
Oh yeah.
I'm trying to decide whether to search for the issues. I guess it's already out in trade, so I could just pick up the trade. I'm not sure which. I just read the first issue.
Talking about YouTube videos, did you guys see that K-Fabes had an interview with Ed Brubaker?
Yeah, man. I started listening. I'm a half hour in. It's so good so far.
I just tagged it so far, but I want to listen to that.
I started listening as well. So he's just.
Brubaker's done a lot of interviews. I've heard him many times over the years. So it'll be interesting to see if they can get something new out of him.
Yeah, it's good so far. What I've listened to, it's pretty interesting so far. He was telling me he was talking about first time he met Darwin Cook and stuff, and their working relationship. So that stuff is pretty cool because that would have been an amazing interview if he was still around.
Anybody, and they try to just show away and give them some bizarre ideas, and they just like, go on, do it. And it's like, oh shit, like the Gotham Central, how they came up with it, and what they actually originally wanted to have for Murder Alley.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
For Murder Alley, apparently Gotham Central would have been if Ed Brubaker wouldn't intervene.
And go above their heads. Yeah. He's quite a guy, man.
Yeah. Anyway, so it's interesting. I'm definitely going to listen to it because I'm curious to see what else he's going to say because they mentioned already his work in Hollywood. He really doesn't care about blah blah blah, but he has work to do. Oh, did you know that there is a series of his which is in Hollywood? He did Die Young or wait, something like that. He done it like I don't know the name now, but apparently it's just recently came out. There's a couple of seasons already through.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So if I'm going to something Die Young or Old or something in that match, which I don't remember.
Okay.
If I want to find out the name, I'll give you. I'll let you know in the thingy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he worked on that Westworld there, which was pretty great. One of the writers. I don't remember if he was the head writer or what it was, but yeah.
When they went into when they were in the western scene of Westworld, I tuned in throughout all of the episodes. When they went away from that, I was like, oh fuck it, I'm not interested anymore.
Yeah, I never got past the first season. As much as I liked it, we just never continued with it. Another one of those that fall by the wayside, but
yeah. All right, guys. I guess we are nearing the 3-hour mark.
Only 3 hours.
Yeah. He appeared. Who you think you are, and just come in and just.
Well, that now makes this episode slab worthy, right?
That's right. Exactly right. A rare appearance.
To die young. I don't know if that's a joke or the real one.
No, that's the
that's the TV show.
I think.
That's the real Brubaker show. Okay.
Yeah, that's the Brubaker written show, and apparently it's noir. So
nice. I'll have to check it out
because he likes that kind of genre anyway. He's kind of like
right
in that sense. So yeah, thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you, Crack, to open the crack to us and then show us himself, I guess. Anyway, and yeah, show off your figures. You getting all this action. It says I'm not into action figures, and it
exactly
keeps
right. Turn into an even bigger nerd than I already was. Yeah.
So every episode, you can wonder: will Comic Crack return again or not? It'll be
not next week, but maybe the week after. I'm out of town next week, but the week after should be good if you guys will have me.
We will always have you.
Awesome.
Damien said to me, "We should start charging you. Like whatever. Like."
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you everybody who came, wrote all these beautiful things you do always, guys, and yeah, we'll see you in Damien's channel.
I need to figure out whether I'm free next weekend or not. But we'll definitely be back. But whether it'll be next weekend, I'm just not sure yet.
There you go. We will find out.
Maybe Rasa will want to do a solo one, but.
On that note, I think I need to go.